My bad, my bad. All right. Welcome to the Revolutionary Agenda. I'm your host, Seduction Doll, aka Lady Chair, the Black Villain. Um, yeah, welcome. Get to do a little show uh tonight or this morning. Excuse me, this morning. Probably just see how it works. Um, I realized I gotta supposed to make some changes according to the show or whatever. Um, when I first started it, it just was just do how I felt or whatever I felt like um, broadcasting. But to come to my attention, I gotta actually, put the shit in there. So I haven't really felt like doing that. So we do have a little lineup. There's some stuff I wanna go over, and I feel like I'm gonna make some changes to the broadcast, to my broadcast, um, just to just just because I was told I have to. So I feel like it's just killing my spirit. But we'll see what happens. Let's test it out. You know what I mean? Not like everybody else. I can't. It's like just like oppressive. Um, and we'll see what happens. I'm trying to like be positive about the uh shift um in my broadcast or whatever. I just kind of like to be me and organically be me. Um, however, uh, I don't know. I just can't really get into that right now. I just know that I'm gonna make some changes just to see if that's like for me, like how everybody else does. It's kind of like you never know really when you come to the RVA what we actually going to be talking about, and it's kind of like a good thing because like I used to say, everything's been touched. I don't like to go over material that's been already beaten out, beaten to death about. I like to signal boost, but some things I just want to, explore separately. However, however, I just gotta do certain things. I gotta start putting like a synopsis and shit together and whatever, all this stuff. And also too, I feel like little, I talk to you a little bit before I get into the broadcast because I don't get to see everybody that often. But for me, it's like once a month. It feels like I get to do a show. Maybe I get to do it back to back. If I'm lucky, you know what I mean? Because I'm under the will of other people. You see what I'm saying? And now I don't know. I'm not how to feel about it. Kind of like in a mood about the the change or whatever. The changes people want from me. This never could just be myself. It's like gotta do this, do that. It just takes away from my general being. We'll see what happens. See what happens. Allegedly, it's supposed to boost my programming. I always thought I was just was like not really for everybody, but I guess we'll see. I gotta conform like everybody. I gotta be the same like everybody else, which is really killing my spirit. So we'll see what happens. Stay tuned. That will be happening on on the next episode because we're coming into a new year or whatever, and so it's gonna be a new season, and I'm gonna try to, I'm pretty much just gonna try to be like everybody else, so that it, you know, um, I don't know. I don't really think it's gonna stop the criticism, the judgments. So we'll see what happens. Try to be, try to be positive about the shit, but so you just gotta nurture the person's nature, Um, just can't deal with the nature of the beast. Anywho, moving along. We're gonna start the show. I got a couple of things that I want to talk about, and basically the structure's gonna go like this. I'm gonna delve into the Somali investigation. About what's going on over there with them people basically scamming the system. a lot of little updates. I recommend everybody go to Church of Black Power. We covered it pretty severely today, yesterday, and I really learned a lot. So I recommend if you haven't been over there to watch the broadcast from Friday evening, I suggest you go over there and actually watch the broadcast for Friday evening. We covered it pretty extensively. This topic, the Somali daycare topic, he covered it pretty extensively. But I'll touch on some information that I didn't see in the broadcast. So it's kind of new to me. Maybe not so much to y'all, but it's new to me. Um, I had to build a queue in the Revolutionary Agenda channel by accident because we added added a couple of wrenches to a few of the mods, and it was done on my phone, and I wasn't cognizant that I wasn't on my actual personal channel, so I was actually on the channel, and so I was watching. I like to watch some of the videos before I show them, so I have a little go through the history and just make a cue real quick. It's just that easy for me. But it was a little bit of more of a struggle, so I'm late. So I had to figure that part out. Besides, I'm not on my computer. I'm on the laptop. It's a little different. Can't really see enough to read right now because my eyes are still really not still kind of leaking. So yeah. All right, we're gonna cover that. I got a couple clips on that for the Somali thing. Um, like about 4 or 5 clips. To talk about it a little bit more. Okay. Um, then I'm gonna jump into the team that was inspired. That it had an ISIS inspired attack that was planned in North Carolina. I want to go over that. I got like two of those. Talk about that. I guess he was trying to commit a terrorist act, whatnot. So I want to kind of go over that real quick because I was like, whoa. Um, then we're going to go into um, a few of Professor Black Truth, some stuff that I don't know. Jesse might have went over the shit that's on there. That's over there on the Frontline Black News, but these are things that I really haven't went over yet or had a chance to go over. So it's kind of new to me. But not. I've listened to them when I'm here, but I haven't really talked about them. Talked about the 3 topics or 4 topics that I put in from Professor Black Truth. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Um, what else? I'm also going to talk about on the Somali thing. I'm gonna add one more clip to it. It's only about HUD and the fraud that was found there. So that's yeah. So there, we'll talk about that on there as well. Uh, then I'm going to go into one second, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go into some urban politicians. I got like 2 from there, and then go into like the U.S. Venezuela thing. I think he's attacking them right now. So I'm kind of gonna go over that real fast. I got like 1 or 2 of those, and yeah, so urban politicians and just some other one other interesting thing that I've seen in there from like another channel like what do you call it No Jumper, like a channel like that. So I got like 4 or 5 topics to go over. Let me see. Yeah. So like I said, I'm trying to change up. So bear with me, family. I'm gonna start with the Somali thing, and I might move around my queue because Some of my cue got kind of mixed up a little bit, so um, can't really see to fix it. It'll be all right. Just know that that's the plan. Somali stuff with the HUD thing. At the end of that, this little news or whatever I saw, it was a little different that I didn't see on a Church of Black Power. So it might not be new to you, but it's new to me. Like I said, I recommend you go over to watch that. Professor Black Truth. I got like 3 or 4 of those. Um, Urban Politicians. I got like 2 of those. What else? I want to touch on the ISIS terrorism alleged attacker, and I think Trump messing with Venezuela finally right now. It's alive and happening. Um, so that's what we're gonna cover. So I'm gonna jump right into it, family, and I'm gonna give dialogue or whatever my thoughts as it's happening or as we're watching together. So we get over there to share it real fast. I get on my screen and share screen. Okay, that's what we doing here. Hold on a second.
It started with an anonymous tip to the Fox 9 investigators, and it led us to a story that took 3 months of digging to uncover.
Tonight, Jeff Ballion exposes a business that some of its own employees say is misusing millions of taxpayer dollars.
They made their move before the crack of dawn, targeting child care centers in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Apple Valley, seizing computers and boxloads of documents as part of a massive fraud investigation. The raid included agents from the FBI, State Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, and the Ramsey County Attorney's fraud units. It went down, coincidentally, as the Fox 9 investigators were in the middle of our own probe of the same business.
It's not difficult to see a pattern of what's going on.
What is going on?
It's terrible how it's misused.
We spent 3 months digging through records, doing surveillance, talking with insiders.
It's big. It's bigger than I think the state realizes.
To expose a scheme that's costing tens of thousands of taxpayer dollars a week.
It's a lot of work, and you have to make sure that, everything's following the rules.
Yasmin Ali is the owner of Deco Family Centers. This is her giving a tour to an undercover Fox 9 producer.
But a lot of people that we work with that are low-income families.
Ali
Ray.
tells our producer that many of her customers are on assistance.
Maybe change
They
the
qualify to have the government pay for their kids' child care. They can get that help if they're working, training for a job, or hunting for one.
I think it's doing a disservice to the people that truly do need child care assistance.
We interviewed 4 Deco employees who have intimate knowledge of the operation. They've also shared information with government fraud investigators.
A lot of things going on there.
Exactly.
According to our sources, Deco was actively recruiting women who qualify for child care assistance and offering them jobs at the centers, some to watch their own kids. A fact these moms confirmed to us.
Hello. Do you work here? You do? How many children do you have? 2? And the children come here as well?
Yeah.
Who pays for their child care?
For the child care money?
Yes.
The county.
The county.
Deco then bills the county for child care while the moms are supposedly working.
Were these legitimate jobs or not?
No, there were too many that were being hired. We didn't even need that many.
Our informants tell us that only a small percentage of the moms did anything.
2%. 2%
Did some kind of work.
did some kind of work. Sometimes they would come in, sign their children in, sign themselves in, and go grocery shopping.
Our sources say the more children a woman had to enroll in child care, the more she'd make per hour even though she had the same job title as all the other moms.
The reason for that is because then they had more assistance for each of the families.
On numerous occasions, we saw lots of women coming to the centers, each with 4, 5, or more kids in tow.
Her value was in how many children she had.
According to government records, DECO's Minneapolis and St. Paul centers were each eligible to receive nearly $50,000 in child care assistance funds every 2 weeks. Do the math. That's over $2 million a year.
They're making a ton of money.
According to our insiders, timesheets were submitted to the county, which inflated the hours the moms actually spent in the centers, allowing DECO to bill the government for maximum child care time.
So they fixed the time schedule.
Correct.
A lot of women they did this for?
Yes.
State inspection reports obtained by the Fox 9 investigators show DECO has previously been cited for a number of logistical problems, including a lack of keeping accurate records of when staff worked. They were also fined for failing to do background checks on employees in order to provide documented proof that staff members received mandated safety training.
While employed there, I saw falsifying documentation.
So the record showed they'd received this training, but in fact they had not.
Correct.
I stopped by DECO's Apple Valley office to speak with owner Yasmin Ali. She wouldn't go on camera, but I did record our conversation.
We're told that you were falsifying records to get child care money.
That's not true, but as I say, I'm not gonna have any comments right now.
In addition to all the funds for child care, DECO was also getting public money for kids' meals. The Minneapolis Center got nearly $90,000 for food in its first year of operation. This place did the catering. It's owned by Yasmin Ali's brothers.
We obtained a copy of the catering contract signed by Adarus Ali. We've seen his signature before on federal court documents. In 2009, Ali pled guilty to perjury. The Justice Department says he lied to a federal grand jury, testified he knew nothing about Somali men from Minnesota being recruited by a terrorist group to fight in their homeland, when in fact, he sat in on a discussion and even drove some of the men to Twin Cities International for their flight to Somalia. Ali did not respond to numerous requests by the Fox 9 investigators for an interview. Recently, the state rejected a plan by DECO to use even more public funds to have Ali's restaurant do catering for additional child care centers. Regulators said the proposal was double the normal cost and full of inaccuracies and incomplete documents.
Item 29 is that one.
This one here? Yep.
Fraud investigators are now sorting through thousands of records and computer files taken during the raid of DECO's offices. So far, no charges have been filed.
Here she is.
We tried again to ask owner Yasmin Ali about the criminal investigation and what we were told by some of her own employees.
Can I ask you a few questions, please?
I'm Fox 9 investigator Jeff Ballion.
The criminal investigation of DECO child care centers is being spearheaded by the Ramsey County Attorney's Office. Because it is an ongoing investigation, they would not discuss the case or comment on the findings.
Naturally.
Revelation is fueling more and more demands for answers from Democrat Governor Tim Walz and his administration. The FBI saying it's massing resources to get those answers. This is the Faulkner Focus. Hello, everyone. I'm Julie Banderas in for Harris Today. So an independent journalist is documenting some damning sites at multiple Somali-run child care centers in Minneapolis. The videos are shocking. They show misspelled "no children" at the centers that reportedly received millions of dollars in state and federal funding. That journalist is now speaking out about his findings. Watch.
I've known about the fraud taking place for a long time. Minnesotans have been telling me for a long time about the Somali fraud that is taking place. And with his help, we were able to crack over $110 million in fraud in one day. And that's just the tip. When people say it's the tip of the iceberg, it really is, because there's billions of fraud inside the state of Minnesota right now. A kindergartner could figure out that there's fraud going on.
Walz's office pushed back against the videos, saying, quote, the governor has worked for years to crack down on fraud and ask the state legislature for more authority to take aggressive action. He has strengthened oversight, including launching investigations into these specific facilities, end quote. House Majority Whip and Minnesota Republican Tom Emmer with this.
If what they are saying is real and can be documented, and what they're saying is they told Tim Walz about the fraud when it was happening, and he not only ignored them, he retaliated against it. I'm telling you, Molly, in his administration needs to be held accountable. It's time that we find answers to all these questions and hold everybody accountable.
Congressman Chip Roy is coming up, but first, Garrett Tenney has more on this mess. Hi, Garrett.
Hey, Julie. One of the most surprising things about this new alleged fraud in the child care space in Minneapolis is that it really isn't new at all. There have been reports about this very thing happening since even before Tim Walz took office, and it appears that it has largely been allowed to continue without much interruption. One example of a child care business that is now under the microscope is Quality Learning Center, or Leering Center, as the sign says. The business is licensed for 99 children, from infants to toddlers, but the business hours are from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Over the past 3 years, it has been cited for more than 120 violations for all kinds of things, including for not having proper documentation for all of the kids there. Despite that, the local ABC station reported back in January that the business has still been able to receive nearly $8 million in federal tax money since 2019. We've also confirmed that the owners took out more than $200,000 in PPP loans during the pandemic that were completely forgiven. Nick Shirley says there were similar red flags at some of the other child care centers that he tried to visit in the Twin Cities.
But it's so obvious. If you're living in Minnesota, you have to raise your eyebrows and think, what's going on? Literally, if you drive around Minnesota, around Minneapolis, you'll see daycare centers, autism centers. You will then see transportation companies that have snow piled up as if they haven't moved in months.
After Shirley's videos went viral, FBI Director Kash Patel posted that the Bureau is all over this, saying fraud that steals from taxpayers and robs vulnerable children will remain a top FBI priority in Minnesota and nationwide. The FBI believes this is just the tip of a very large iceberg. We will continue to follow the money and protect children, and this investigation very much remains ongoing. While Governor Tim Walz and other state officials are now claiming that they are taking steps to investigate and to keep this from happening again, remember, these claims of fraud in child care centers are not new. In fact, all the way back in 2018, as Walz was making his first run for governor, sources in the Somali community told our local station, KMSP, that it was an open secret that starting a daycare center and billing the federal government for it was like getting a license to make money. Julie?
Garrett Tenney, thank you. Republican Congressman Chip Roy of Texas, member of the Judiciary Budget and Rules Committees, joins me now. Thank you so much for talking to us. All right, so let's just talk about Walz and his credibility here when he says that he didn't know that any of this was going on when it's such a massive fraud scandal. How could he not know?
Yeah, Julie, great to be with you. I hope you had a Merry Christmas. And,
you too.
You know, it defies all logic and reason to believe that Governor Walz was ignorant of what was happening in Minnesota. Let's be clear. He was campaigning on it last year with respect to the campaign with Vice President Harris in her run for the presidency. He literally was talking about it. Thank God that President Trump won that election. Thank God that we do not have a Harris-Walz presidency, because they would be encouraging this to continue, whereas this president is rooting out the fraud, securing the border, stopping the flow of people into our country. But this is what happens when you have massive welfare programs that are funding people that are coming into our country, whether it's illegally or, frankly, through legal channels that are being abused by the radical left and the Marxists who want this to occur. The Somali community knew full well what they were doing. It's a part of an enterprise-wide effort that's global, tied to the United Nations, tied to world organizations, NGOs, our own taxpayer dollars that are being used against us while we import people to be put on the welfare state, to be put on Medicaid, and to take taxpayer money. It's fraud that has to be stopped, and people need to be removed, deported, denaturalized, and sent back to Somalia.
I just want to know, how are they going to recoup that money? I mean, is that what Walz is now going to concentrate on? Because he says that investigations are ongoing in these centers, but where's the money? And why should taxpayers have to foot the bill? Who's going to end up paying the government back? Or is it going to be the responsibility of Congress, of taxpayers?
Well, importantly, I'm really proud that we've at least put some fraud protection in the big, beautiful bill, working with President Trump and what we did with the work requirements and Medicaid, because we knew that there was ripe for abuse. But we've got to go a lot farther at the federal level, and we've got to hold states accountable. Right now, they know what they're doing, and they're trying to take this money. And by the way, this is the tip of the iceberg. Let's go look at what Gavin Newsom in California, what they're doing with the billions of dollars. And we know there is massive Medicaid fraud going on in California. We've got to stop that at the federal level and at the state level. Look, one of the reasons I'm leaving Congress to run for Attorney General, Medicaid fraud is a central element of being Attorney General of a state. Keith Ellison was neck deep in all of this. Keith Ellison is friendly with CARE, friendly with groups that are affiliated with the Muslim Brotherhood. All of this stuff is connected. And if we don't recognize that, then we're not going to win this battle, because it's a purposeful effort to exploit our laws, to allow people to come to this country, try to Islamify our country, and use the welfare state to do it.
Critics are also asking why Congresswoman Ilhan Omar's husband reportedly purged key officer official details from his $25 million venture capital firm's website. Now, this move comes amid growing questions about the couple's wealth and possible connection to the welfare fraud. According to her latest financial disclosure in May, the couple's net worth surged 3,500% in just 1 year. It estimates now putting it anywhere from $6 million to $30 million. Their net worth went up 3,500%. How do you explain that? And then talk about the scrubbing on the website. That doesn't look good. What's Walz doing about that? Is he looking into this?
Well, certainly not. I mean, he's certainly supportive of whatever they're doing. And this is one of the other things that we need to address, is the extent to which members of Congress find themselves getting wealthy while they're in Congress. In this case, it appears by being completely in bed with all of the fraudulent activity that's going on in Minnesota. Of course, we should investigate this. Of course, we look into what they're scrubbing from their website. I think we've got to explore this as far as we can, including potentially looking into denaturalizing and removing Ilhan Omar if she's violated our laws. And by the way, we should also ban stock trading among members of Congress, since we're talking about the wealth of Congress, and I have a bill to do that, and I hope we will do that next year. Mike Johnson, the Speaker, is working with us to do that. We have got to stop all of this flow of dollars that is corrupted.
I mean, like, this is just out of control crazy. Because keep in mind, when the whole thing that was going on with ICE, she was basically giving her people, which is small people, directions on how to avoid them in their own language. You mean that was like controversial. So
our system. Empower the American people to do what they do best. And we've got to pause immigration. I introduced a bill to pause immigration because we've got to stop this massive abuse of our system, using H-1Bs, using diversity visas. President Trump is exactly right to have frozen the diversity visas, to have stopped that, to freeze the flow from countries of concern. Remember that in 1920, when we had a high percentage of people that were foreign-born, we froze immigration for 40 years. And our country vanquished, the Nazis in Germany, freed the world. We did great things in those 40 years. We can do it again. That's why I introduced legislation to pause immigration. The president's right to do that, and I'm supporting him in that effort.
Okay, meantime, the Trump administration is working to highlight its achievements this year ahead of next year's midterm elections. And commentator Scott Jennings says that one victory is bigger than the rest. What is it? Let's watch.
I think on the immigration piece, it's been his biggest success this year. It's the biggest promise fulfilled. We've had 2.5 million people deported. A significant number of them were self-deported. They used the government's app or just decided to leave the country altogether. I know the left has treated this as some big controversy, but I don't know what's controversial about the president just simply enforcing the laws that are on the books.
And the numbers back that up. The Department of Homeland Security says that more than 2.5 million illegal immigrants have left the U.S. since Trump took office. Nearly 2 million of those electing to self-deport. And the White House also says that 0 illegal immigrants have been released into the United States for 7 straight months. The Democrats call that horrible. What say you?
Well, I do think this is the greatest achievement of the presidency. They've dropped down the flow at the border to 0. We feel it in Texas. We're a much safer and stronger country as a result. The president is right. Tom Homan, Stephen Miller, Kristi Noem, all the great work of ICE and Border Patrol. They're standing behind them. ICE is removing people that need to be removed. But let's add to that this next year. Let's stop the abuse of our legal immigration system. Let's permanently make reforms so that you can't have H-1Bs and diversity visas that are messing up our country by importing people who are using our welfare system, which you opened this segment with. The president should be congratulated, his entire team, for what they're doing, but we got to finish the job, and Congress needs to codify what the president has been doing, so you can't have a future Biden Mayorkas that destroys the president's done. And by the way, one underreported piece, the SUE Act, which we included in the Lake and Riley Act last January, which was a bill that I authored with Dan Bishop, that was included, which allows states to sue the federal government if they fail to secure the border in the future, so that we can stop a future Biden-Mayorkas administration from doing that. We're doing a lot of great things, but Congress needs to back the president.
Oh, he's like, well, let's just shut this shit all the way down.
Fallout from the fraud scandal in Minnesota is expanding as the feds surge resources to the Democrat-led state to investigate. Welcome to a brand new hour of America's Newsroom. Good morning. I'm Molly Line. Hi, Bill.
Molly, good morning to you. I'm Bill Malugin. Bill Hemmer and Dana Perino have the day off. The Department of Homeland Security releasing new video showing agents going door to door, all as part of a fraud crackdown in the state of Minnesota. This comes after a viral video appeared to show taxpayer-funded daycare centers largely inactive, and pressure is now building for Minnesota Governor Tim Walz to be held accountable.
The cover of today's New York Post saying it all. Walls close in. Republicans calling the scandal evidence of failed Democrat leadership.
Tim Walz and Keith Ellison have been looking the other way. Billions of dollars have been stolen from Minnesota taxpayers.
You can't believe a word that comes out of his mouth. What we're seeing in Minnesota is just the tip of the iceberg.
This has to end. Every American should watch how taxpayer money was spent. You have some of us right now that are calling that out, will continue to call that out. It can't be business as usual for the future success of this country.
Garrett Tenney is live from our Midwest Bureau with a story that just seems to get bigger and bigger. Garrett, good morning.
Molly, good morning to you. The federal crackdown in Minnesota over potential fraud is ramping up on multiple fronts now. Not only do you have DHS and FBI agents on the ground, but the Small Business Administration is now halting all federal funding to the state after identifying $430 million in PPP loans in Minnesota that are suspected of fraud. As we've been reporting, these concerns over fraud, particularly in the child care space in Minneapolis, go back more than a decade, including these surveillance videos that were part of a case prosecuted by Hennepin County back in 2015. The video shows parents checking their kids into a daycare and then walking back out with them minutes later. Our Minneapolis Fox station reported that sometimes the kids wouldn't even show up, and that either way, the businesses would bill the state for a full day of services. This other video shows parents then allegedly receiving envelopes of cash as kickbacks from the owners. The state is responding to these latest allegations of fraud at child care centers, claiming that it's already investigated many of the businesses in Nick Shirley's viral video.
So there have been ongoing investigations with several of those centers. None of those investigations uncovered findings of fraud. One of the centers, Quality Learning Center, closed just over a week ago.
Those claims is that the manager of the Quality Learning Center says they never closed, and they are even open now, and that the state agency was putting out false information. All of this is raising more questions about the credibility of the state agencies who are supposed to be overseeing these programs that are now being investigated.
The fundamental problem here is that we have a governor and an administration that is totally broken its trust with the people of Minnesota. So it's very difficult for any Minnesotan, and it's very difficult for us to take at face value anything that the Walz administration says on this topic.
As all of these investigations continue, Attorney General Pam Bondi says the Justice Department has now charged 98 individuals in Minnesota with fraud. 85 of them are Somalis, and she says more prosecutions are on the way. Molly?
Garrett Tenney, thank you. Bill?
Molly, for more on this, we are joined by Jonathan Turley. He's a constitutional law professor.
I mean, like, Church of Black Power covered it pretty good. And I'm gonna get into that. That's like topic number 4 or some shit. I'm getting into that. I got a little something on it. Cause I was like, whoa. Yeah, that shit's going down right now. Motherfucker's the official pirate, that's for sure. With this, Church of Black Power, yesterday evening, covered it pretty extensively. The little interviewing that old boy was doing. I mean, these people were like they're so aggressive and angry. Like, you don't open the door and you just got all this anger. You know what I mean? Like, what you doing here? Like, Jesus Christ! Like, just answer. Like I would have played it off. Like, if I was doing it, like trying to enroll my kid in school, like in daycare. I got like 3 kids. Like, what are you talking about? Why are you not? Do you have any space? Like, I'd have played it off. You know what I mean? I have three little ones that need to be in daycare. Just says I could, come here. I didn't realize it was just Somali exclusive. Like, that's all they have in there. It's just their children. Their children. Not children of others. Their children. I'm like, damn, dude, that shit is crazy. Like, that's all you cater to? I didn't know that was legal getting like federal funds. That you could just cater to your own people like that. How come we can't do that? Like, that would be a rip. Can you get the same shit? Just cater to our children and no one else? Because I swear to God, there's no other children like that. Just Somali children. You know what I mean? Everything's like in-house. Blocks and that shit was like crazy to me. How you just saying there's blocks of, they're just like, they basically cultivated a whole neighborhood. You see what I'm saying? And then get the laws there. They're yelling and all aggressive and shit. I'm like, what you mad for? Like, you mad you don't want to take no more money? I've been acting crazy. I'm like, for real? I mean, not like, you're paying for it. Like, the state's paying for it. You ain't got no room for 3 little ones? Just say that. Can you get a brochure? You know what I mean? I haven't played it all like that. I was like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, the community's going to be upset. Yeah, you doing the devil's work, man. The devil's work is busy. I'm just like, of course they knew. Everybody, obviously, it must be everybody knows. Except, them people, I guess, or whatever. Whoever blew them whistles, man. That's crazy work. That's diabolical. They just just running it up. I'm like, Jesus. Yeah, I wouldn't take a loan. I mean, they make you pay the payday loans, a PPP loan during COVID. Like, I mean, I thought those was a scam when they first talked about it. I didn't think that was like a real thing. I thought people were just scamming some shit, just like motherfuckers go and send me your cash app. I thought it was like one of those things. I didn't really think it was serious. I mean, let me see.
As well as a Fox News contributor. Jonathan, as always, great to see you and good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks,
so we just heard it in report there. Minnesota officials say they've looked into some of these centers in that now viral video. They found no fraud. And Jonathan, they're still being paid. Take a listen to what they have to say.
How the fuck that? Like, I mean, just on general principle, just watching old boy's video, how can you not see the fraud?
Each of the facilities mentioned in the video has been visited at least once in the last 6 months as part of our typical licensing process. For the current child care centers that have been named in the video, we have not paused. There isn't a current pause on any of their payments. As we gain more information from the folks that are out visiting today and gathering additional information, that may change, but currently there is no pause on any of the those individuals.
They like somebody's obviously giving them tips of when to be there, how to be there. You know what I mean? Like that shit looked pretty dead to me on old boy's video footage. Like, you couldn't even hear a kid cry. I would have thought, like the whole time they were Church of Black Power is showing videos and whatnot. I was like, damn, is there even children around? Like, there's no children nowhere. Like, is there any children around? Anywhere they go? Just got one motherfucker opening the door. Like, no, slam the door. Look out the blind. No, sense of you is terrorist. Like, is there any children? Like, anywhere around? Like, there's no, you can't even look and see little playthings in the middle of the floor. You know what I mean? Like a little daycare center. Like right there, the little storefronts, you think they be playing and doing little numbers and singing and dancing, clapping, and just little kid shit. You ain't nothing. I was like, damn. All these houses, no kid, nowhere. You can't even hear a kid anywhere in the neighborhood. Like, not swinging, playing in the outside. Those are pretty nice, decent days. Like, kid could have been outside playing in the back. Like, nothing. Not even a dog. Like, that's crazy to me. So I don't see how. I think that if they're getting fed, like, okay, look, you need to be there at such and such day, such and such time. Make sure the children, make sure you can accommodate for however many children you're supposed to have. We'll make sure they're eating and actually doing activities, because they're gonna come through. They're swinging through, and this could take an all day event. They're gonna be asking questions, so be prepared. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he was just on a whim. He was just knocking doors and, you know what I mean? Just, and getting ran off. Like, you really gonna get ran off? Like, I was just really crazy. Like, I thought it would be like he was white. Like, they'd have to answer his questions. Apparently, he just wasn't doing all that. You know what I mean? Leonard. Yeah, no, I know. I know. I can't wait. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. It's on the topic list. I know. I was like, yeah, that motherfucker, a real life pirate. He really gonna take that. Like, it's crazy. It's on the list. It's like we could talk about it here shortly, but it's on the list. It's like number 4 of the topic list. Just that I got to change up the way I do things. Like, just stimming my spirit. All right. One more, family. Let's see. I think too, if you go ahead and you do your own investigation, of course you're not gonna find no things of fraud. It's like, I'm gonna investigate myself. That's what the police do. It's weird. Like, it looked fraudulent. The whole shit's fraudulent. They look fraudulent when they came to the door. You know, when they angry and making up rules as they go along. Like, come on, cuz that's bad fraudulent. The behavior is fraudulent, if anything.
Centers.
Jonathan, it's kind of hard to believe, but they haven't even paused those payments to maybe look into it a little bit further. Give us your thoughts.
Right.
Well, the surge of federal resources into Minnesota is going to help a great deal. The fact is, you can't have this extensive level of alleged fraud without interstate criminal activity. Most of this is interstate. They're using wires and phones, and they're transporting out of state. So the feds have.
Nah, he didn't do that, did he? I wasn't really reading it. I thought he used his slant. You playing? You serious? He snatches him and his bitch up? For real? Because we can go there right after this topic. Because that right there is amazing. Isn't that like, what you gonna do? Where you gonna take him and you gonna torture him for what? You just basically robbing his country. It's crazy. War crime. That's a war crime, right? That consists of war crimes. I got questions.
Have a basis go in there. In addition to the fact that some of this is playing with federal money. If Minnesota wants to burn billions, then do that if that's what they want to do. But they can't do that if it's a federal crime, and they sure can't do that with federal money. And when Governor Walz says, well, I've been trying to get more authority, fraud's been illegal for a long time. I mean, you've been, and there have been some prosecutions in the past. This isn't a lack of authority. This appears to be a lack of interest, impulse, a lack of effort by state regulators and prosecutors. So we'll see what the feds come up with here. But Minnesota is really looking at a mountain of hurt coming down on them because this is getting worse by the day.
Another thing that's kind of been uncovered through all this process and these investigations is Minnesota apparently has a voter policy that allows registered voters to, quote, vouch for up to 8 other people who want to do same-day voter registration. Here's a little excerpt of that policy. It says, quote, a registered voter can vouch for up to 8 voters. You cannot vouch for others if someone vouched for you. Jonathan, is the honor system a good way to run elections?
What kind of shit
it's
is
so
that?
bizarre. It's really breathtaking. The fact is, most of the citizens in this country, according to polls, just want voter ID. That you just show your ID, you confirm your identification, and you've got states like Minnesota coming up with these kindergarten rules instead of just having simple voter ID systems that work. This is overwhelmingly popular.
Why is that bullshit? That shit's crazy. That's fucking crazy. That's fucking crazy. Oh my fucking god! Like that's wowzers. Cause who you vouching for? Like for real? Like how does that work when you collecting signatures to get on the ballot? You getting voucher signatures too? Oh yeah, that whole building right there, all good, all to the good. Yeah, there's about like 50 of them, all to the good. They good with it. You just that's what we doing? How is that legal? How is that legal? I don't understand. How's that legal? How is that correct? Like, how do you get on the ballot when you gotta go outside and collect signatures? I mean, that's what Jesse had to do for like three fucking motherfucking campaigns. Go outside, collect them signatures. The signature better match that fucking ID. That's registered for you to vote. You gotta sign off. Your signature better match. Your address better be right. You know what I mean? Can't just I'm about for everybody over here. All these 8 people. Yep, they got IDs and everything. Here's their names. But I'll tell you guys the first campaign, because we was all hyped up, turned in the paperwork. They kicked off like 50 people, and all of them had Muslim names here in the city. And I was like, this is conspiracy for real. We knew these motherfuckers were just black with some Muslim names. Like, come on now, this whole building's black. Everybody in here lives here. They're elders. What you talking about, cuz? This fixes it. That's what I was thinking. How is this possible in Minnesota? Who you vouching for, cuz? Like, I really want to vote, but I didn't register. You didn't register at all. Did you look at like? Are you serious? But sure you want to vote? You old enough? Or you look old enough? Okay, fuck it. Yeah. Like, what? How does that work? You need signatures. You need signatures just to get on the ballot of anything before they choose you, and you gotta really go out and work that shit. Like, how does that happen? What is that? Like, how is that possible? Is that how you have to be the governor? That's weird. It's weird shit. I got questions. I don't know how that's possible. Like, how's that legal? How does those votes count?
With American voters. And so we really have to sort of hash through this in the coming election. It's going to be one of the issues that's going to be in the forefront, because we have new investigations that are showing serious problems in a lot of states with ongoing voter ID failures.
And I do want to ask you about the ongoing case against the alleged DC pipe bomber suspect. He's got a hearing later this afternoon, a detention hearing, after prosecutors say he confessed to the crime. Here's U.S. Attorney Janine Pirro. A post she put on social media says, quote, my office has filed court documents that Brian Cole Jr., accused of placing pipe bombs outside the RNC and DNC, has admitted that he was responsible for the devices and gave a detailed confession to the charged offenses, telling law enforcement he was frustrated with both political parties. Jonathan, obviously the feds expect.
Well, like, speaking about motherfucking pistols, that's what I was going to talk to you about later. Privately and shit. But, like, no, man. Like, I mean, would you really, like, no. You got to fill out the paperwork, man. You got to do a check. Like, you got to do a check, make sure you're saying to have a fucking gun. Motherfuckers, not everybody can have a gun, cuz. Not everybody can have a gun. Trust me. I have friends and family that just do the most when they got a pistol, cuz. And it's just in their hand, available They're dancing around with it. Bow, windows blowing out. Motherfuckers running out the car. You think you're just doing the most, just making random threats and shit. Just bow, this motherfucker shit goes off. Like, are you serious? I don't have these problems. I've had many guns. I've had many legitimate guns. I'm not say many. We'll say like 3 legitimate in my name guns. You know what I mean? So I know I don't have a problem. I could care less if it's around. If I have one, I don't have one. It's whatever to me, right? But I don't think I would just let anybody vouch for me. You know, I'm a fucking Aries, cuz we really just go ahead and vouch for me. I don't feel like doing paperwork. Go ahead, just tell them I'm good. I got no issues. I'm just not gonna fly off at the handle. Just tell them I ain't gonna do none of that. I'm not the typical one. Patient, quiet, peaceful. Yeah, right. No. Are you gonna let me vouch for you? Yeah, I know. We come from a good family. No, and goddamn well, I don't really know what your intentions is. I'm about for the dude at the gas station. Yeah, I know he a YN and everything, but he looks straight. Yeah, I mean, his mama look alright. A little young and shit. He got a little sass in him. A little too much sass in him. Just ready to just pop off. But, you know, I'm pretty sure that a gun will chill him out. Yeah, I bought one for my brother for his birthday, right? I bought one when he was just a young tyke. Turned like 18, I bought him a pistol. But he could do that, right? Older sister bought my brother a pistol, right? Whole time freaking out, thinking, did I make the right decision to give that motherfucker a pistol? Man, you know, he's just a young. He gonna be all right. He ain't gonna kill nobody. He gonna be all right. You know, you did. That's my baby brother. Come on now, that was a long time ago. You think I would just go do that now? Like, weird. That's weird. You just vouch for me at the pistol. No, cuz. No. I see you vouch for me at the motherfucking park with everybody else. That might be something. You don't kill nobody over here. Alright, cool. You know what I mean? Come on now. Like, you said, you not gonna. What do you mean you ain't gotta show no ID? To me, you gotta show no ID. You should have to show ID. Just let anybody vote. Like that. That's why I think half these motherfucking elections ain't right. Because you ain't gotta show no ID, that means illegals can vote. Right. Right. Mm-hmm. 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 Honor system. Right. Well, it could be like, yeah, you know, I'm just not gonna. Yeah, come on, man. Like for real, you just kind of like, how do you know a person's legal or like a naturalized citizen? Hmm. That's great. Like, oh, you know, I think everybody should be able to vote. A felon should be able to vote. I mean, we let motherfuckers vote here that are in jail, you know, for misdemeanors and shit like that. They should be able to vote if they're in the regular jail. And then an adult and then fucking a citizen of the United States of America. And yeah, you know, I thought that was the stipulations. You had to be an American citizen, I mean, an actual citizen of the United States. Old enough to vote. I mean, your ID matches your voter registration. Your signature matches your voter registration. Then go stand your motherfucking line in line and vote for intangibles. Good luck. It's a cold, cruel world. You know? It's weird. Like, that's weird. Honor system. What? Honor system. What? Like, how do I know you going? Like, I mean, it's just voting, but I'm like, man, you might make the wrong decision. I'm about vote, you know, I'm about for you knowing that you just gonna go vote for the orange man when I really want that weird ass half breed fucking bathwater collard green cooking ass to win. Yeah, okay, come on. How am I know you gonna vote the right way? What's gonna vouch for you like that? Yeah, right. This is like a propaganda. You know what I mean? Yeah. Possession to possession of what? I think when you get out of prison though, they have stipulations like maybe you're not allowed to touch guns and pistols and stuff like that. Maybe because of what you did, or I don't know, man. There should be some rules. Like maybe too many felonies can't own a pistol. What? What? How you know they're not an immigrant? Like an actual legitimate citizen. Don't know. So when they go and they run the like the names of people, like when you go, election's probably weird over there. When you go run for office, you got to collect signatures, and they run them through the machine. They just know that they straight. That they because that's crazy if that's happening. Because in our state, they said that first time they kicked off 50 fucking Muslim names. That was a little highlight. I thought that was a real conspiracy. Hmm. You think background checks are? I don't think that. You know what I think is the sanity part. You see what I'm saying? I'm not really necessarily concerned about a felon. I'm more concerned about if you're sane enough to have a gun. Like if you're sane enough to like be around a weapon. You know what I mean? Because some people, like I said, can't be around a weapon because they just don't know how to behave. They just think it's just like, got this. Just dip around the block. Keep dipping around the block. You know what I mean? Just let me. Bullets are expensive. Let me just run this clip. See what I'm saying? Like I just feel like 16-year-olds can carry in Missouri, 18-year-olds can carry in Indiana. Huh. That's crazy. Like so there's no background check on the youth, teenagers and shit. How do you know they're good enough to be around a live pistol? Like you know how you know that they're not gonna flip the fuck out because somebody bullying them at school or something. You know what I mean? Like how's that weird? Like it says, okay. I could dig it. I could dig it. So it's just a different type of rules. But I'm like, so there's not like a heavy crime rate. I mean, I ask questions. I'd ask questions. They kind of would ask a lot of questions. I'd make them fill out the paperwork. I have to run it, man. Like, I mean, surely, like, I mean, okay, like I was in the system. I was in the system. I was like in and out of juvie. Like seriously, in and out of juvie. And I was carrying around a knife all the time. Like, you know what I mean? So that's it. It was in my earlier repertoire of crimes committed before 18. Yeah, like always had a knife, always had a shank. You know what I mean? Now if I got caught with a burner or something like that, then that would have been on my record, right? So I never had those interactions like that because um first of all you gotta pull it out, you gotta use it. That's like a big thing. Guns like I've had a couple of them in my name. You know what I mean? So I didn't want to like ruin that. That I could just do some fucking just beat the fuck out of somebody really with a stick before I have to get all crazy like that. You know what I mean? Terrible shit. But upon that, like I remember like in Texas, I didn't have to. I could just go purchase the gun from a dealer in the store, like around the corner. Bam, drove up, went in there, shut the shit off a little bit in the back. Said, yep, I want this one. Said, okay, here's this, blah, blah, blah. It's going to take 2 days. Woo, woo, woo. Fill this out, and you say, good luck out there. You like, come back, come back, pick it up, it's fine. It's like, that's it. You see what I'm saying? I'm talking about it from an actual motherfucking gun show that showed up. I bought my brother's pistol from a gun show. You know what I mean? Hmm. I guess. Okay, yeah, but I'm like, uh, I don't know. I guess you're right. I guess you're right. So I guess you're right. Also, too, I would um I would tell my children to be around them. You know what I mean? Like how to take care of, use them, whatever. I wouldn't just I would be able to trust my kid. Like if I educated my kid. But I'm talking about other people's children. Things are different nowadays. It's weird. It's not weird. It's just a little different. Mm-hmm. Stupid. I'm not saying I'm not an advocate for it. Like, I can appreciate it. I can have it. I was at least gonna talk about when I called you later. You know what I mean? I mean, I could get another one. I'm just like thinking about it. Um, I did like he could go one or two ways with me, but I felt like I should just do it the right way because I'm getting profiled a lot lately. You know what I mean? And shit is getting a little precarious over there in my neighborhood, especially with the way my apartment is. So it's like, man, someday I already had a dog. But it's another day. You did? So I mean, I could definitely appreciate it, but also at the same type of motherfucker that get a burner in the street. Not a real issue either. I just felt like, well, let me just try to do it the legitimate way since they've been like, it's not really an issue. Just don't like to do it. Sometimes motherfuckers just like to just have they stuff. Um, However, I was thinking about just the fact that I've been doing some major shit talking lately in city council, and them motherfuckers be following me all around the neighborhood, like all around. The fucking police be following me lately. It's not like a mystery. They're just actually just doing it. You know what I mean? They've been doing a lot of shit talking. Let's see. What do I say?
Expected to tell the court they want this guy to stay in custody. Got about a minute left here. Give us your thoughts.
Well, this is a lot like the Charlie Kirk prosecution with Robinson. It's becoming a pretty much clear-cut case. You've got incriminating statements made after Miranda was given to American voters. And so we really have to sort of hash through this in the coming election. It's going to be one of the issues that's going to be in the forefront because we have new investigations that are showing serious problems in a lot of states with ongoing voter ID failures.
And I do want to ask you about the ongoing case against the alleged D.C. Pipe bomber suspect. He's got a hearing later this afternoon, a detention hearing, after prosecutors say he confessed to the crime. Here's U.S. Attorney Janine Pirro. A post she put on social media says, quote, "My office has filed court documents that Brian Cole Jr., accused of placing pipe bombs outside the RNC and DNC, has admitted that he was responsible for the devices and gave a detailed confession to the charged offenses, telling law enforcement he was frustrated with both political parties." Jonathan, obviously the Fed's expected to tell the court they want this guy to stay in custody. Got about a minute left here. Give us your thoughts.
Well, this is a lot like the Charlie Kirk prosecution with Robinson. It's becoming a pretty much clear-cut case. You've got incriminating statements made after Miranda was given. The real issue here, I think, is to focus people who are engaging in the rage rhetoric today, that this is the type of person that you are triggering. That when you start calling ICE Nazis and other opponents fascists, when you say democracy is dying, these are the people who are hearing that and treating it as a license to turn to violence.
All right, got to leave it there. Constitutional law professor Jonathan Turley, always great to see you. We will be seeing plenty more of you in the new year, I'm sure.
Crazy. What is it? She's just jumping around.
A new housing and urban development report finding that under the Biden administration, billions of dollars in federal rental assistance went to ineligible recipients, including dead people. Fox Business correspondent Max Gordon has the story. Hi, Max.
Hey there, Taylor. Well, HUD Secretary Scott Turner claims that around $5.8 billion in federal rental assistance was potentially sent out in error in 2024 under the Biden administration. This included about $77 million in payments to around 30,000 dead tenants. About $150 million was paid out to people with non-existent social security numbers, and around $288 million was paid to support excessively high rent. But according to HUD, the vast majority of these incorrect payments, $5.2 billion of them, were made to people with inactive SAM.gov accounts, the government website where people can register for assistance. The payments being scrutinized fall under two programs, tenant-based rental assistance and project-based rental assistance. Project-based rental assistance subsidizes housing units so low-income individuals can afford them, with the government paying the property owner. Then tenant-based rental assistance goes directly to the person in need. In total, HUD sent out about $50.4 billion in rental assistance payments in 2024 to more than 204,000 individuals. The potential error flagged by HUD would make up for around 11.5% of these payments. Secretary Turner said in a statement, HUD will continue investigating the shocking results and will take appropriate action to hold bad actors accountable. We reached out to former HUD Secretary Marcia Fudge and her former Deputy Secretary Adrian Todman for reaction to the report, but have not heard back. Meanwhile, the U.S. continues to struggle with a shortage of affordable housing. According to the National Low-Income Housing Coalition, no state has an adequate supply of affordable rental housing for the lowest income renters. And nationwide, there's a shortage of 7.1 million rental homes available to renters with extremely low incomes that are at or below the federal poverty line. In its 2026 priorities, HUD outlined that it wants to meet these affordable housing needs in part by cutting down on fraud, waste, and abuse. Taylor, back to you.
Max, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are we more angry that this is just big government in the housing? Are we angry that most of this fraud is going to New York, California, Washington, D.C.? Are we more upset that it's going to dead people? Where do I begin?
I'm really upset it's going to dead people and all this fraud even happens because here's why. It's so easily avoided. In this digital age, we should have digital checks and balances. A check's going to go out, Social Security check, a HUD assistance check. Is that person dead? There should be a death certificate in the system that matches up with a Social Security number. It's very straightforward. If we can figure out blockchain and cancer immunotherapies, we should be able to figure out an accounting system for where government and tax dollars go.
But should the check go out? I mean, $50 billion for rental assistance? I mean, I know it makes me sound like a bit of a Scrooge here, but government is not a charity. Government is a gun.
Yeah.
And its role is not to provide you food, healthcare, education, medicine, everything. It's cradle to grave, once again, entitlement state. So I'm, for one, no more subsidies. And I think what you would find once government stops subsidizing things like rental, those prices will come down. They won't go up, they'll go down, making them more affordable for everyone at every economic strata.
I don't think so, guys.
I don't even know where to begin. This shouldn't even exist, this funding program.
There you go.
It should not exist. During Kudlow yesterday, and within Medicaid, for example, that they've tried to expand the definition of like mental health care to include housing services. And one, I mentioned Medicaid as being.
Listen. This is a type of programs that like me and Jesse are on programs like that, right? But that's because that's how we had to come off the street. Both have separate types of programs, right? His is like a project, and mine is like a permanent. You know what I mean? Forever. Now there's nothing fraudulent about how why we have them, okay? Or the reasoning behind it. Mine was because of like a bill, a bill that they had passed. It was like if somebody was like chronically in and out the hospital, chronically homeless or in and out of jail, right? Well, that was me. I was constantly in and out the hospital homeless or in jail. Real shit. It happened after I got really sick, and yeah. So um, anyway, it took like 5 years to get it. It wasn't like something that happened overnight. It took like 5 fucking years for it to get it, and it wasn't easy to get it. Um, the only reason I had got to where I got to was because I had got into during COVID. I had a heart condition, so I got into like a temporary hotel type of situation. And then when I was in there, I was doing the paperwork, right? Again. And because I fit one of the most vulnerable people, like, poor people are the most vulnerable. One of the most vulnerable. I fit the criteria. Um, I had to basically wait. When Jesse found the apartment that he was living in, they had just started taking applications. They didn't want to tell him. He made them tell him. And then that's how he got in. You know what I mean? They didn't want to tell him, well, yeah, they got openings and shit like that. So, it's like the first time he made them do it. That's how he got in it. And then, he was like doing the advocacy stuff. I was on the street, so I was like, man, da 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 da. And that's how I got in there, because I had to basically, I got the flyer, but they wanted to deny the flyer. They wanted to deny that that place was open for applications. See what I'm saying? They didn't want to just let me in, so we had to force that. It took a little minute, but it got done. It got done. These are things where, like, when they say that they're fraudulently using it, well, yeah, who else got ousted during that time? Immigrants. You know what I mean? It's a real life debate. Only Denver is a sanctuary, alleged sanctuary city. And when you wanted to get rid of the unhoused, clean that shit up or whatever, then it's that they were putting them in these hotels / apartments, studio apartments, like basically like a kitchenette. You know what I mean? I had to move, so the situation I was in, like, I didn't have access. So we're living in the same building. He has access to everything, like the laundry, everything. Everybody had access to everything. Even the person I was trying to shake had access to using the pantry and the laundry and the fucking office upstairs and the computer room and all that extra shit. For some reason, I just was not, and I'm the one with the voucher. I didn't have access to none of that shit. Wasn't allowed to use any of that. That right there is like I want to say that's racism. I just think it's a me thing, because everybody I'm talking about is black, so it can't be racism. It's just a me thing. I don't know. Maybe, who knows? Who knows what that's really about? When I shake that spot, I was really sick. That's how I got over to my spot, my area. I basically got out of that program that we both were in, like the separate providers. I left that provider in order to save my own life. So I went to a different provider. And I was too sick to look at the apartments. So my apartment that I lived in, I just knew where it was. I knew that they did all the paperwork. They got it in. But I didn't actually see the shit until I was well enough to go. My brother moved all my stuff in. And then he took it right back out because he said that they had an infestation. They didn't even tell me about that. So we had to clear the infestation up before I could even get there. And then I was able to move in. That's how come I live in a separate thing. My voucher is permanent. Different type of thing. And they just offered me a new apartment, but that shit was too far. So they offered me a new apartment, but in a different part of town. A part of town that I'm not really good with going. It's too much. I can get along with certain people. I don't get along with like Denver Chicanos, I guess, or whatever here. It's different here. I don't get along with all that red on that side of town. And there's a lot going on over there. I just don't get along. You know what I mean? It's just there's no black people over there, so. Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, so I'm like, not everybody. If there's people right there that are like some of the immigrants, and some of the transgender people that weren't really transgender, but are placating to that, they got on. You know what I mean? They were able to get in there. Some the like when we say certain places are crazy because they're just letting anybody. That's because that this particular program that um the people that the particular agency that Jesse's under, they just want to do the job. I mean, they don't even want to do the job. They just want to get you out the way. They'll put you with whomever. They'll put you in a building, and there could be all kinds of madness going on. You could be the only straight motherfucker there that's on a good path, and you're surrounded by madness. See what I'm saying? Because there's no vetting. They're just like, yep, we got a space. Come on in, come on in. You know what I mean? Whereas my shit was separate, different. I had to fill out the application. Thought that was just like they just skyrocketed. It was in a neighborhood I know well. You know, I probably had 8, 9 apartments in the same area. I was younger, but when it was cheaper. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Right. Right. So a lot of people, there are people that are abusing it. There are people that are abusing it. Because, you know, like I always think that being on these little programs, you know, like getting a voucher. From coming off of 5 years being in the street took me 5 years to adjust. It's just like being, just as I said, it, like say bad things, like say institutionalized. It took me a long time to adjust to being inside, right? Because I didn't believe I could stay inside, right? Because I didn't believe it was a real thing. I thought they never gave me shit. They can take it back anytime they want to. You know what I mean? And that's how it feels. So I wouldn't get too comfortable if they're gonna take it back. That's how they do things to me, you know. Like it has been 5 years, so my apartment though is not conducive for me because it wasn't ADA accessible. Meaning I struggle in there when like when I got sick at the hospital. Ever since that surgery, it's been really like hell for me in that apartment. I can't control nothing. See what I'm saying? So they just don't have no properties in this area where I live because their main agency is it's kind of out in that area where they offered me the apartment. It's kind of far too. So it just had to be done. I had to switch or else I would have died in that program because that man was going to kill me. You see what I'm saying? I had to shake the spot. And I did. I had to. I had to switch agencies and everything. I did it all. Like I had to do it like a escape plan. So it took me like a month or two to get it done. I wouldn't have been able to get it done though if it wasn't for Jesse. Really, I wouldn't have been able to get it done because he had all the inside baseball to help me get it done. I wouldn't be able to switch over, you know what I mean? Because then it would make me do more shit that I didn't want to do. You know what I mean? Like I'd have to file police reports and shit, and I don't do that, so no, I didn't have to do all that. I just basically had to present the case like, look, you seen it. This is what happened. I'm not gonna do none of that because that's not what I'm gonna do. I'm trying to live. You see what I'm saying? Just get me out this motherfucking situation. Let me switch providers. I switched providers, and then I should, in hindsight, now that I think about it, I should have stayed over there because they have all the properties. Whereas my provider didn't have any properties. I had the person I had at that time was just good. She just knew how to find spots. I've been asking for a fucking new caseworker for like the last 3 years and told her why I gotta struggle and do all this by myself when y'all used to do it for me. Like y'all knew where to look. Y'all had a list of people that you worked with that had apartments. You see what I'm saying? And now I gotta figure it out. Well, okay, well, I'm gonna figure it out, but I need this now. You see what I'm saying? Because the circumstances have changed. things have changed now because of that damn surgery. But some people, yeah, there are people who are fucking off, like majorly. They get in there and this turns that motherfucker into like a trap. So, and it's been all over the news. There's a couple of places that in our city that people have abused, you know, and that ruins it for everybody. It ruins it for everybody. And then you'll have fucking Karens and shit like this that don't gotta worry about situations like that, not giving a fucking well back out in the street, but really not, because they'll just put us in jail or something. Because that's the plan, to get rid of us. So out of sight, out of mind, you know what I mean? But yeah, of course they had to happen in the party. And else benefit was some immigrants when they moved them around. The mayor took full advantage of that by putting a lot of them over in our area, like Aurora, not a sanctuary city, not even remotely. You can get picked up over there. See what I'm saying? Ice right down the street from there. So yeah, no. But I'm like, wow.
Is this an attack on immigrants?
This is an attack on fraud here in the state of Ohio and allegations of that fraud being widespread.
This Ohio lawmaker making some serious demands on what he calls reports of fraud within publicly funded daycares in Columbus. Video clips targeting Somali-owned daycares in Minnesota and now here are circulating on social media. Our On Your Side investigator Lisa Rontala talks with the state rep who says all of these facilities should be investigated.
From Minnesota,
they're meant to say Quality Learning Center. They spelled learning wrong.
To Columbus.
You can see that this place is just a total dump.
More people are targeting Somali-owned daycares, looking for kids and suggesting fraud.
Would you call these video clips allegations or would you call them proof of fraud?
That's just an allegation of fraud.
Now, State Rep Josh Williams, who is running for U.S. Congress, sent this letter to the Ohio Department of Children and Youth, calling for more unannounced inspections and attendance audits of all publicly funded daycares in Ohio. He also wants to pull state and federal funds on the suspicion of fraud, opposed to a charge or conviction.
We're saying the funds have to stop until you prove that it is not fraud moving forward.
I mean, you go through some of these inspection reports and you do see non-compliance when it comes to attendance. Could that be a suspicion of fraud?
Yes, that can be a basis of suspicion of fraud.
Of the 578 publicly funded daycares in Franklin County, I looked through inspection reports for the first 20. Here's what I found. More than half was subject to a state inspection within the last 3 months. More than half were also found to be non-compliant with enrollment records. 2 were non-compliant with attendance records, which is used to calculate public funds.
With this letter that was sent yesterday, are you suggesting there is widespread fraud within publicly funded daycare centers in Columbus, especially those Somali-owned?
What we're alleging is that there is widespread reporting of potential fraud from individuals on the ground.
If fraud is found, Representative Williams says operators who are legal residents should face increased penalties. He says non-legal residents should be deported. At least one congressman in Minnesota is suggesting stripping citizenship.
Would you agree with that?
If an individual is a naturalized citizen where they came here under our goodwill and became a U.S. citizen through a naturalization process, there is a process to strip that citizenship back.
If widespread fraud is not found, Representative Williams tells me he will accept those results. As for this Northeast Columbus daycare already featured on social media for suspicions of fraud.
This place is just a total dump.
I found an inspection was done in October when it opened, and it's yet to receive any public funds.
They are not currently receiving any state or federal dollars because they have not met the requirements to receive that.
On your side, I'm investigator Lisa Rontala.
Representative Williams told us the state has already adjusted attendance procedures within the last 2 years to prevent a daycare operator from obtaining a child's individual PIN code and entering it into their system when a child's not there. In those efforts, 7,500 Ohio families received new PIN numbers. Governor DeWine is also responding tonight. He says anti-fraud safeguards are already in place for Ohio's state-funded child care system. The governor says Ohio pays by attendance, not enrollment, so only when a child is actually being cared for. Attendance is verified using pins with photo confirmation or location-based QR codes. The state conducts unannounced inspections, he says, financial reviews and monthly data analysis to flag possible fraud. He says the state also enforced PIN sharing rules, closed loopholes, and ended hundreds of improper payments. More safeguards, including random monthly reviews, are set to launch next month. Governor DeWine says these anti-fraud measures are working. He says this year the Department of Children and Youth received 124 referrals from the public. Now, because of these, 61 resulted in programs being required to pay back overpayments to the state. They've also resulted in the closing of 12 programs. The governor says they found that 30 of the programs identified through the tips are operating in accordance with state and federal laws, though 21 are still in the final stages of review. Stay with us for continuing coverage on this issue. We're seeing the allegations.
Ooh, that's crazy. Right.
This is CBS News Special Report. I'm Carissa Lawson in New York. The United States just attacked Venezuela's capital, hitting military facilities in the country. President Trump ordered this operation. There were multiple explosions in Caracas starting at around 2 a.m. local time. You can see the video here coming in. It shows low-flying aircraft in the city. This is the first U.S. military attack within the country. President Trump is targeting the South American nation over its authoritarian leader, Nicolas Maduro, and his alleged ties to drug cartels. It follows months of military buildup in the region. The strikes come just hours after Maduro had said he was open to negotiations with the U.S. Let's go right to CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand. She's traveling with the president in West Palm Beach, Florida. And Natalie, what are we hearing from the Trump administration right now?
Well, as of this hour, sources are telling CBS News that Trump administration officials are aware of these reports of explosions and aircraft. No immediate response from the White House, but we've also learned for U.S. officials that President Trump ordered strikes on sites inside Venezuela, including military facilities. This, of course, comes as the administration has escalated its campaign against the regime of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, which the U.S. administration views as illegitimate. So right now, as you've seen on some initial video coming in, which we are still working to gather and confirm, several explosions were heard around 2 a.m. local time Saturday overnight in Venezuela's capital city, Caracas. People seen kind of rushing to the streets. And again, this is something that the president himself had said was a possibility out loud, talking about potential land strikes. CBS News has also learned from sources that the president gave the U.S. military the green light to conduct land strikes in Venezuela days before the actual operation, waiting for conditions to be right there. Sources also say that military officials were even going to conduct the mission on Christmas, but U.S. airstrikes in Nigeria, as you may remember, against ISIS targets precedents that day, according to the sources. So again, we are still working to confirm the latest, but Chris, as you know, this comes on top of months of a pressure campaign, which started back in September with those initial strikes that we saw on alleged drug boats off the coast of Venezuela. That has expanded now to a massive military buildup around Venezuela, a blockade of sanctioned oil tankers, a pressure campaign that's both military and also economic pressure.
As you said, this has been a slow and steady escalation. What is the president's goal in Venezuela at this time?
You know, he's been careful not to completely disclose that when asked directly by reporters. You know, he won't talk about regime change, even though that's what a lot of lawmakers over on Capitol Hill say that they believe all signs point to. But President Trump, in interviews with reporters, including CBS News' own Norah O'Donnell, has said that he believes that Maduro's days as president are numbered. The big question, of course, is what would happen next. And that's where even allies of the president on Capitol Hill, after they received briefings on Venezuela operations, they said that they had more questions for administration officials about the real strategy here and the end game.
Natalie Brand, thank you for those details on what's happening in Venezuela right now. Now, CBS News correspondent Lilia Luciano is talking to sources in both Colombia and Venezuela. And Lilia, what is the reaction in these overnight hours to all of this?
Well, over the last few minutes or maybe an hour since I started seeing these reports, I started reaching out to sources in Venezuela. I heard from folks who confirmed that they heard one person who heard the loud bangs, who said that their area, which is near one of these bases that was bombed, could hear the loud bang, that the skies were orange and that they lost power quite immediately. There were people, of course, were expecting that something could happen, but they have been waiting for many weeks. So, of course, now when it does happen, they are on high alert. I have also heard I reached out from when I covered the election last week to people who are supportive or allied to the Maduro regime, and they said that they are standing guard, that they're waiting for more information, but that they're willing to come out and fight whatever that means. To maintain the Venezuelan, they say government, of course, regime. I also reached out to Colombia. The president of Colombia has issued a couple of tweets in them. He makes sure to state that Colombia is neither an enemy of Venezuela or of the United States, and is placing Colombia in a way in between both countries and offering the possibility of entering or allowing or facilitating negotiations. And Maduro has now, or the government of Venezuela, has also issued a statement in the last several minutes calling this a flagrant violation of the Charter of the United Nations. I am hoping to hear a little bit more about more reactions from Venezuela, but of course this happened at 2 a.m. local time, and people are sharing what they can on social media. It seems like the strikes are primarily airports, military bases, and we're hoping to hear more from our government, and reached out to military sources too for confirmation, but we'll continue making calls.
Sure, and it's probably too early to tell if there's been any casualties in all of this as well. Lilia Luciano, thank you so much for that information. Well, to recap, the U.S. attacked military facilities in Caracas, Venezuela's capital. Multiple explosions were heard around 2 a.m. Coverage will continue on CBS News 24/7, your local news, and on CBS Saturday morning. This has been a CBS News special report. I'm Carissa Lawson in New York.
You know why I did it?
This is an ABC News special report.
Good morning, I'm Allison Cossack in New York, and we're coming on the air this morning because Venezuelan authorities are confirming that military areas are being targeted, and they are blaming the U.S. We are seeing multiple explosions and low-flying aircraft. All of that were heard around 2 a.m. local time in the capital city of Caracas, and the FAA is now banning U.S. commercial flights in Venezuela airspace over what it's being called ongoing military activity. This is coming after weeks of the U.S. ramping up pressure on the government of President Nicolas Maduro, including seizing 2 oil tankers and conducting deadly military strikes on alleged drug boat smugglers. This week, the Pentagon released video of 2 vessels being hit, saying they were transitioning along known narco trafficking routes and engaged in narco trafficking. At least 115 people have been killed in more than 30 strikes since September. The U.S. also deploying a large-scale buildup of military forces and assets in the Caribbean, sending the most advanced aircraft carrier in the world, the USS Gerald Ford. It's now part of the 15,000 U.S. troops that are operating in the region. That's in addition to the joint training exercises in Trinidad and Tobago, just 7 miles away from Venezuela. The U.S. reportedly installing a radar system on that island. In recent weeks, President Trump declaring that Venezuelan airspace should be considered closed in its entirety. Venezuela authorities denouncing that as a colonialist threat that seeks to affect the sovereignty of its airspace. Last week, the FAA warned major airlines about a potentially hazardous situation in the skies over Venezuela, citing worsening security and heightened military activity that could threaten aircraft at all altitudes. That prompted 6 international carriers to suspend flights to the capital city of Caracas. And the U.S. recently added Maduro and his government to the State Department's list of the world's most dangerous terrorist organizations. In a pre-taped interview this week, Maduro accused the U.S. of mounting a months-long pressure campaign to force a regime change and to gain access to its vast oil reserves. Maduro has also denied having any ties to the drug trade, accusing the U.S. of using the drug smuggling as a way to oust him from office. All right, let's get right to ABC News correspondent Matt Rivers. He joins us now on the phone with the latest. Matt, what are you learning?
Well, this is a massive escalation in what has been an ongoing military campaign in the area around Venezuela. But the fact that we're seeing these strikes overnight in Caracas and some areas surrounding Caracas shows just an enormous escalation from what the United States reportedly is doing here. No word yet from the U.S. government officially, but we are hearing from the Venezuelan government a statement coming out not that long ago confirming that they believe that they are under attack from the United States of America. They believe that civilian and military areas of Caracas, the capital there, have been targeted, as well as areas in the states surrounding the capital area, Miranda, Aragua, and La Guaira. So these are all areas where we know that the Venezuelan military has a large presence. This is a very populous area. Millions of people live in the surrounding area, the metro area there in Caracas, but still very early, and I think that that's worth noting here. It's the overnight hours, lots of information still coming in that needs to be confirmed. But what is confirmed here is these explosions across the capital there, signaling what appears to be a major escalation in the ongoing campaign against the Maduro government. And one thing I'll point out here, we have not yet heard directly from the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. We haven't seen him yet. That is certainly something that the people of Venezuela are going to be looking forward to hearing at some point overnight and into the morning hours.
Matt, any more information you can give us on those targets? You did mention civilian and military targets. Any more information about those civilian targets especially?
No details yet in terms of what we can firmly report, but what we can say is that when you're talking about military assets in and around Caracas, you're talking about a mixture of civilian and professional military. Within Venezuela, there are a number of different levels of the security state, and the government there treats them all as one collective unit. So you have the Venezuelan military, but you also have these civilian groups known as colectivos. You have the state security apparatus, and we know that some of these bases where these military groups, where these security groups operate, are located in civilian areas. So if you are attacking military targets, you could certainly be doing so in areas surrounded by a civilian population. I've spoken to several contacts overnight who live in the Caracas area, and people are obviously extremely scared. We know that there have been some videos out there of pedestrians running in the streets there. So no question, this is a very, very tense time for the people of Venezuela as we continue to wait for more word from the United States government, from the Trump administration, about exactly what is going on here.
One last question before I let you go. on the ground there in Venezuela and Caracas, was there any kind of heads up given to the civilians there about what was about to happen?
It doesn't appear so. No one that I've spoken to said that they had word. They were kind of finding out as the rest of the world was, as those explosions were making their way around the internet there. But, a lot of people had been talking about this interview that Nicolás Maduro gave that was published on New Year's Day, basically saying that he was open to negotiating with the United States. If the United States wanted to target drug trafficking, he would be willing to negotiate with them. If they wanted access more toward Venezuelan oil reserves, he would be willing to do that. And so some people I was speaking to were hoping that might have been some sort of an off-ramp here, but it does not appear that is the case. No question, this is a very, very grave escalation in this conflict. And where it goes from here, I think, is the big question moving forward, Alison.
Okay, Matt Rivers joining us live on the phone from New York. If you get any more information, please let us know. I want to go now to senior White House correspondent Selena Wang, who joins us from West Palm Beach. Selena, also on the phone, I believe. Are you getting any word from the White House about what's happening?
Well, Allison, we've reached out to the White House for comment. We've received no response yet. But as you heard Matt just walking us through, I mean, clearly, U.S. operations against Venezuela, potentially U.S. operations against Venezuela, are entering a new phase as the country is accusing the U.S. of carrying out these military attacks in the capital of Caracas and other parts of the country. Again, no response from the White House yet. But this comes after months of threats from President Trump. He has been saying for weeks now that land strikes were coming soon inside Venezuela, targeting drug traffickers. In fact, just weeks ago, the president told me they know every house, every route, where the drugs are manufactured. We're still learning details about what exactly this operation was in Venezuela. Again, we're still waiting to hear from U.S. officials, to hear from the White House. But this comes as we've also seen the U.S. amassing the largest military presence in the Caribbean in decades, including the world's largest aircraft carrier. And it was actually just days ago as well, Allison, that the president said the U.S. had struck a dock in Venezuela that he claimed the cartels were using to transport drugs overseas. CNN had reported at the time that it was the CIA that carried out the strike using a drone. That marks the first known time that we had known of the U.S. carrying out a strike inside Venezuela. So we have seen a series of actions leading up to this point. As Matt said, this is a grave escalation, still waiting to hear officially from the U.S.
All right, Selena Wang, thanks so much for those details. We will get back to you if you learn anything else. All right, we're going to return you to your regular programming. Our coverage continues on ABC News Live and ABC.
Like, that's like, look, it looks really bad because they said they're willing to work it out. Let's try to work it out. And Trump was like, I guess not. I'm working shit out. I'm like, whoa, they're like, he said, we'll offer you anything. Just stop. Venezuela didn't want to take the people back, remember? And I was like, okay, well, what's really going on? And then how's that going to affect us?
President Trump is someone who came to office promising never to get involved in regime change. He said he didn't like what happened in Iraq, even though we're not quite sure whether he was for it or against it, the American invasion I'm talking about. But in the last few months, we've had not just these American airstrikes on boats heading from the Venezuelan shore towards the United States or Mexico, supposedly carrying fentanyl, although there's no evidence they actually did. We've had the biggest military buildup in American military buildup in terms of naval forces and potential ground forces in the Caribbean since the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962. So on one level, you can say, well, this was inevitable because it was heading that way. On another level, this goes against everything that Trump had promised, not just the electorate, but also his own base. And his base is upset every time America first means airstrike somewhere abroad. They didn't like the fact that he got involved in Israel's war against Iran in the summer. They don't like the fact that he gave unadulterated support to the Israelis on Gaza and Hamas. They won't like this. So why has he done it? before we got into that, the date, first of all, January the 3rd. He's got it in for January the 3rd. I mean, most of us on January the 3rd were digesting whatever we had on New Year's Eve.
Yes.
We might have a bit of a hangover. He doesn't get those, of course, because he does not drink alcohol. So on January the 3rd, everyone's kind of prostrate, and Trump is like a live wire. On January the 3rd, in the year 2020, he launched airstrikes against General Soleimani, the head of the Revolutionary Guard in Iran. We all thought that might be the beginning of some kind of major conflagration between Iran, Israel, Iran, America. That did not happen. But also on January the 3rd in 1990, under one President Bush Sr., that was the day that General Noriega, the president of Panama, was captured after several weeks in which he was holed up in the Vatican embassy in Panama City. And the way the Americans got him out, and this is a really good idea, is they blasted the embassy with huge loudspeakers playing heavy metal music. So I don't know about you, Henry, but after 2 weeks or 3 weeks of Black Sabbath and Deep Purple, even you, and I'm sure you like that kind of music, will be ready to come out. And Noriega was then flown to the United States. He was extradited, so to speak, or captured and officially extradited, and then put on trial and then sent to jail. I mean, languishing in a Miami jail forevermore as a drugs leader. Now they're trying to do. Sounds like they're trying to do the same thing with Maduro. He was accused of being the head of a cartel. There's no evidence that he is the head of that cartel, even though it is quite likely that he's been profiting from, the profits of drugs exports smuggled or taken from Venezuela to other countries.
Thank you, Matt. Matt Fry is with me in the studio, LBC Channel 4 presenter, John, who's probably going to be on a plane at some point very soon this afternoon. Speaking of rock stars, John Sopel is presenter of The News Agents, and The News Agents USA joins me on the line now.
He's not a reporter, by the way.
No, he's not a reporter. He gets upgraded.
Yeah.
John, do you want to pick up on anything you've heard from Matt there and really your reaction?
Well, first of all, I think Matt shows promise as a public reporter.
He's good.
Maybe if he plays his card right, there could be a career.
John, the check is in the post. The check is in the post. This is a serious news program, John. Get on with it. Where's your analysis?
No, I do think that won't there be other leaders around the world thinking, oh, so the rules-based order has really gone now, hasn't it? If Donald Trump, on very, very little pretext, can go in to Venezuela, lift President Maduro and his wife, take them off into custody. If you're President Xi and you're looking at Taiwan, or you're Putin and you're looking at Zelensky in Kyiv, and you're thinking, oh, if the Americans can do it, what moral authority do they have to say that we can't?
But they tried, didn't they? I mean, the Russians tried to do it at the very beginning of the war when I was in Kyiv, and they failed. And I'm sure that she's been thinking about it in terms of Taiwan, but it's a little bit more difficult there.
Of course it is, but I suppose the point I'm making is that with this move by Trump, look, we've talked endlessly, windily about the rules-based order and the threat it faces from Donald Trump. And here you have, when I first heard this morning and woke up to the news that there'd been, and I thought, where does this go? I mean, is there a plan here, or is this just a ritualistic bit of bombing and then it stops, which is sort of what happened in Iran last year with the targeting of the Fordo nuclear sites and all the rest of it. This looks like it is much more worked out. I mean, we knew that the CIA were operating behind enemy lines, as they say. We knew there'd been, as Matt described, this incredible naval build-up and kind of carrier strike groups in the Caribbean targeted on Venezuela. So we knew something was going to happen. What we didn't know was what. Well, we do know what. Now, the question I've got is what next? What happens now? Is there a mechanism by which the woman who won the Nobel Peace Prize, becomes the next president of Venezuela? We know that the elections were rigged last time in Maduro's favor. Everyone has said that there were not free and fair elections. Is there a process, or is there a mess? In which case, America will have started something. These things are very much easier to start than they are to end. And I would think that there'll be a lot of people asking Trump now, okay, what's the next move?
Okay,
And
I mean,
back to
actually,
you,
the key person, and you mentioned her, John, Maria Corina Machado, who's the Venezuelan opposition leader. She was a member of the Venezuelan Assembly between 2011 and 2014. But more than that, she would have become the president, or at least, in the leadership team, had that election that took place last year not been rigged, as it obviously was. Now, she won the Nobel Peace Prize. Trump significantly, generously rang her up on the day and said, well done. You deserve this prize. She then thanked Trump publicly, including when she went to Stockholm to get the prize, or was it Oslo? I can't remember, one of the two. A few weeks ago, she arrived the day after because it was very difficult for her to get out where she was in hiding. The Americans helped her to get there. I would be surprised if there wasn't a plan in place to put her in office. However, as we know from Iraq and all, any number of examples of regime change, unless the institutions work, unless there's a rule of law, which there certainly isn't in Venezuela, this sort of thing, even if with the right person in place, doesn't wash. And Venezuela, without police state rule, is a lawless, dangerous place with gangs operating, using kidnapping as a cottage industry, etc., etc., etc. They will have a very tough time to avoid any kind of chaos.
I can just tell you, Delta Force, the UK military's top counter-terrorism unit, it's been confirmed by CBS that they captured President Nicolas Maduro along with his wife. John Sopel, can I ask you, what's the role of Congress in all of this? Because it seems to be completely limited.
Well, Congress...
They're on holiday,
yeah. I mean, Congress has shown itself to have all the willpower of cooked spaghetti. And so, frankly, they have been absolutely supine on everything. And the fact of the matter is that in America, you can run, and always have been able to run, a small war from the White House without getting congressional approval. And so this is not new that the Congress is being sidestepped. I mean, you'll remember Obama decided to put it to a vote to Congress before he would authorize strikes against Libya, and it turned out to be a complete fiasco and a mess. And then, Syria, when those red lines had been crossed and they'd used chemical weapons. And so Trump hasn't needed to go to Congress. I'm sure he'll be talking to the Speaker of the House. America is not declaring war on Venezuela. It's just going in for a bit of light regime change. And it seems that you can do that with impunity and without regard to anyone. And
but I think I think you're right, John. But I think he's got to answer the question: what is this about? Is this about satisfying little Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, who's obsessed with the issue of Venezuela, and he's been driving this in the White House? Trump doesn't really care that much, I'm told, about Venezuela, but Rubio does. Is this about oil? Venezuela is one of the biggest oil exporters in the world. It has massive oil resources. I think the biggest oil resources underground on the planet, reserves, but also it's a different kind of oil. It's it's the double cream variety as opposed to the single cream varieties, which is what you get with shale oil. And then thirdly, if this is about regime change, is this sending a signal, as you suggested, to the hemisphere that America is top dog, and if you don't agree with them, this is what you get?
Whoa. Whoa. I think he really captured his bitch. Him and his bitch. Like, wow. Hell nah. Like, for real? He's just doing the most.
Sort of internal security ring, but also by his military. It has been true to this point that has kept him in power for this amount of time. In power and essentially unharmed. There have been attempts against his life, very murky ones, things of that nature. There have been major protests in which unarmed protesters have been killed by the Venezuelan armed forces. None of it has removed him from power. But Donald Trump is saying that now, not only has he been captured, he has been taken actually in the hands of US law enforcement. Extraordinary development that I don't think anyone in Venezuela thought would happen in this way or this quickly.
You're watching BBC News. I'm Mariam Mashiri. Let's recap the breaking news this hour. President Trump says the United States has carried out large-scale strikes against Venezuela and has captured the president, Nicolas Maduro. In a social media post, Mr. Trump said the Venezuelan leader and his wife had been flown out of the country. Mr. Maduro's capture has not been confirmed by Venezuela. This all began in the early hours of the morning when large explosions hit Caracas and other cities across the country. Military installations in the capital were among the sites hit, and helicopters were seen in the sky. The Venezuelan government has condemned the attacks as a colonial war aimed at regime change and said it was doomed to fail. It's urged all Venezuelans to mobilize to defend the nation. Well, the Venezuelan defense minister has been reacting to those attacks, making this announcement.
In the face of this cowardly attack, which threatens the peace and stability of the region, we ask the international community and multilateral organizations to condemn the US government for this flagrant violation of international rights. Venezuela is free, independent, and sovereign, and strongly rejects the presence of foreign forces that have left death, sadness, and destruction.
Well, the Venezuelan government doesn't know the whereabouts of President Maduro or his wife, Celia Flores, and that's according to the vice president. This is an audio segment from that interview with Delcy Rodriguez that was played on state television. Take a listen.
In the face of this brutal situation and in the face of this brutal attack, we have no knowledge of the whereabouts of the President Nicolas Maduro and the First Lady Celia Flores. We demand from the Donald Trump government immediate proof of life for President Maduro and the First Lady. We demand our international rights be respected. We condemn this brutal, savage aggression against our country that has taken the lives of military officials who will now become martyrs of our country and that have taken the lives of innocent civilian Venezuelans to the different attack locations.
Let's cross live now and speak to Alejandro Pena Esclusa, a Venezuelan political analyst and former opposition politician who led demonstrations against the Chavez regime. It's good to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining us on BBC News. And can I ask you, first of all, for your reaction to the events that we know have happened so far?
My reaction, well, first of all, thank you for the invitation. My reaction is that of millions of Venezuelans that are happy and grateful because what we have with Maduro is not a government. He lost the elections last year. It's a regime that has kidnapped the country and involved many crimes and committed many crimes against humanity. And we've come to this point that it was necessary the use of the force to liberate our country. So people is celebrating, maybe waiting a few hours till the outcome of this is ready. But yes, people is happy for this Trump operation to liberate Venezuela and to capture this criminal who is Nicolas Maduro.
You say liberate Venezuela, but what happens next? It's very unclear, isn't it, what's going to happen to what's left of the government and where the country will go from here. What do you hope will happen next?
Well, what should happen next in a country that is basically has the same language, the same culture, and the same Christian religion, there are no divisions, and there are no economic divisions. It's not a country like, say, like the Middle East. It's a Western Christian country, and what should happen is that the law should be obeyed. And the person who won the election last year in July of 2024, Edmundo González Urrutia, he should become president, and the vice president designated already by the president Edmundo González, Maria Corina Machado, who, as you know, is a Nobel Prize winner, she will be the vice president. This might not happen tomorrow or the day after, but that is what should happen in the next few days.
I mean,
yes.
the opposition government, though, a lot of the opposition government have been exiled. There are opposition members in prison. How likely is it that a fractured opposition is going to get its act together in a matter of days?
Well, it is possible because most of the population, I'm talking about more than 90% of the population, didn't want anymore the regime of Maduro, having created the greatest economic and humanitarian catastrophe in the history of Latin America. So they didn't want him anymore. And people is and voted for Maria Corina Machado and Edmundo Gonzalez. Probably what will happen also in the meantime is a fracture or division within the Venezuelan armed forces. And I believe that there's enough political and popular power to install the new government, July 2024.
Is there a worry, do you think, about a violent power struggle now within the country?
No, I don't have that worry at all, because in order to have, let's say, a violent struggle or a civil war, you need a country that is divided in two parts. And that's not the case. The case in Venezuela is a few criminals that hold the arms and have been committing violations of human rights during all these years. And there's a great majority of the population who has a democratic tradition, who wants to return to democracy. I don't see a violence for, let's say, for a long period of time, maybe for a few days, but that's it.
How worried are you about the American intervention and what it means going forward? Remember, President Trump has very recently talked about Venezuelan oil and lands and about wanting it back. How worried are you that in the future, the price to pay for regime change, potential regime change, could be more US involvement in the country and more US involvement in the country's oil industry, which of course we know was nationalized in 1976?
Well, in fact, the United States and Venezuela have always had an alliance, especially in the oil business, for many decades, that was interrupted first by Hugo Chavez and then by Nicolas Maduro. So I'm sure that Venezuela and the United States will return to the alliance, business alliance in oil that we've always had, with benefits for both countries, for Venezuela and for the United States.
What do you think should
worst
happen?
thing would have been to continue with a criminal government like the one led by Nicolas Maduro, who is also linked to the Hezbollah, to Hamas, to terrorism, and other dangerous groups that not only threaten Latin America, but also the United States and Europe.
You talked earlier on about there not being any violence, about regime change, but what about the military? I mean, does it not have a vested interest in the regime remaining in power, especially the higher up parts of the military who are intertwined with the Maduro regime?
Well, this is not an ideological armed forces. This is a corrupt military group that was corrupted first by Chavez and then by Maduro. They are not loyal to Maduro. There are many corrupt people inside the armed forces, but in the levels of majors and lieutenants and lower ranks, people just want to return to democracy and do not agree with turning the Venezuelan armed forces as an instrument of the cartel of the Suns, which is the largest drug trafficking cartels in the Western Hemisphere, responsible for distributing 20% of the cocaine in the Western Hemisphere. So military ranks, they just want to go back to normality, to democracy. So I believe that the lower ranks will make sure that the higher corrupt ranks related to the cartel of the Suns, they will just hand them over.
What do you think should happen to Nicolas Maduro now?
Well, who will face justice, and he will probably spend many years in jails because he's guilty of being the most important drug trafficker in the Western Hemisphere. Why the most important? Because he had the support of the state. This never happened in the past. In the past, you had drug traffickers in Cali, in Medellin, that they were just obtaining money for the illegal business. But in the case of Maduro, it was a political cartel that used drugs and the money coming from illegal drugs to expand the political project of Maduro, Cuba, and the left in Latin America.
What do you think the people inside the country are thinking now? Are they worried about what the future holds, or do you think there'll be an element of hope as well?
Well, if you wait a few hours, what you will, because now it's in the morning in Venezuela, it's just, the sun is just rising. But if you wait a few hours, probably what we'll see is celebrations. People hate Maduro and they want him to go. And I will tell you, even though the United States is a foreign country, the people is grateful for what's happened, and everybody is celebrating that Maduro is now being captured. I've received hundreds of calls during the last 2-3 hours, and people is really happy and grateful for this outcome.
I wanted to ask you a little bit more, if I can, about the opposition and the potential of the opposition to form a government. I mean, realistically, how feasible is it that a government can be formed easily when it's very well known the regime controls different branches of the government, for example, the Supreme Court, as well as the military?
Well, that part won't be easy, but it is feasible. It can be done because the position has the support of the population. In cases like this, when the government or the regime is corrupt and doesn't have ideological loyalties, their loyalty to the money, but not to ideas, what usually happens is a lot of people turn their backs from them. And so we will see many people from Chavismo, from the Maduro ranks, giving their backs from them, and also giving information about the leaders, and probably they will also be put in jail in short period of time. So again, in situations like this, the support and the unanimity, let's say the unique position of the population, that is 90%, 95% of the population wanting democracy, that helps things to
We know this dude is happy about that. Let's just keep that at 100. He's like sitting on the edge of his chair. He's like, oh, we celebrating. Crazy. Captured him and his wife. That's just out of control. Can you imagine getting captured? That's not even funny. But could you imagine getting captured, you and your wife? They're like basically kidnapped out your own country. Bombed your shit and kidnapped you. That's crazy work right there. All right, we're moving on to the next. I took a little detour. That was actually going to be topic number 3, but we're moving on to we're moving on from that. So Trump bombed Venezuela and kidnapped Maduro and his bitch. Right out the country, like whoa, and nobody's answering the phone at the White House. Crazy. That's just out of control. Out of control. I don't know why I find that funny. Let me get that after auto cue. Just stay focused. Straight.
You're watching live now. I'm Austin Westfall. Let's take a look. The FBI Charlotte office with this. Prosecutors saying that the FBI disrupted a possible plot to attack people
This is
inside
just
of a grocery.
ridiculous. Like this happened. This is ISIS attack planned foil, right? But it was supposed to be like New Year's or Christmas or some shit. Dude that radicalized is like, whoa. I was like, what? It's a second one. You know what I mean?
Store and fast food restaurant in North Carolina on New Year's Eve would have been in support of the Islamic State, in support of an Islamic State terrorist group. Prosecutors said that the alleged plot was foiled after the 18-year-old suspect recently began communicating online with someone that he believed to be affiliated with ISIS, but in reality, it was a government online covert employee. The man arrested is 18-year-old Christian Sturtevant of Mint Hill, which is near Charlotte, North Carolina. He was arrested and charged with attempting to provide material support to a foreign terrorist organization. The suspect, pictured here, retired Marine intelligence officer and national security analyst Hal Kemper, still here with me. Hal, according to prosecutors, during the suspect's online communication, he said, quote, "I will do jihad soon," and proclaimed that he was a soldier of the state. That's alluding to ISIS. This is something that you and I have talked about many times over the years. What does this case tell us about the risks of online radicalization and the challenges that authorities face in identifying potential attackers early?
Well, this particular attacker, he's 18 years old. He's very young. And apparently he was on the FBI's radar since he was 14. And that was tied to online radicalization. It's interesting that this story breaks today. And I believe it was just yesterday that the Australians were talking about the ban on social media for everyone under 16. And they were saying why that was such a bad thing and how it was. And then you have this happen the next day. You go, that's one of the challenges that we have with social media and a lot of the online tools are out there, is that you get very impressionable teenagers that go online and they self-radicalize. They're frustrated with the world. They're looking for answers. And they develop a grievance against the world, or a grievance that they then target onto certain groups in the world, whatever their motivation is, and to the point where they actually mobilize or take action to go out and do some sort of horrible terrorist acts. In this case, he was doing all this stuff online. He reached out, and kudos to the FBI or this very aggressive program they have of trying to intercept these individuals who are trying to communicate with ISIS online. They were successful. They did some certain, what we would call imitative deception, if you will. They basically did online undercover work, and then he eventually met somebody in the real world who was an undercover. At least that's what they said. It was an undercover FBI special agent who basically, open the door, if you will. And I say this very carefully because a lot of times the defense attorneys always say it was entrapment. They're not trying to get them to do something that they wouldn't normally do. What they're doing is they're trying to thwart them from doing what they're planning on doing. So in that course of events, he made very clear that he wanted to do jihad, which is not, in this case, what he's using the word jihad, he's talking about doing a war, a physical action, terrorist acts. He talked about using knives and a hammer. And I should mention that more people are killed by non-firearm related terrorist attacks than firearm related attacks. And I know that sounds strange because we definitely gravitate to these mass shootings, but in the world of terrorism, mass bombings, and we have seen knife attacks, vehicle ramming attacks. We've seen other types of non-firearm weapons being used in attacks all around the world and here in the U.S. So that's what he was aiming for. But he also had talked about trying to acquire a firearm in this, and the FBI felt that they had enough, and they stepped in and stopped him from doing it because it looked like he was planning to do this on New Year's Eve, and he was aiming at a grocery store, a restaurant. He had expressed anger or trying to target. It was anti-Jewish or anti-Semitic. He was anti-Christian. He was also anti-LGBTQ. And so he was going to try and target those groups. And those would have been probably at the grocery store, restaurant, whatever. One would guess that would be his primary targets. However difficult that would be to look at a crowd of people and say, oh, you're Christian, you're Jewish, you're gay, you're lesbian or whatever. That just seems rather preposterous. It would have just been a horrific mass killing. It's horrific as it is, but the idea that somehow that just going in there and that somehow is meeting his objectives, it does show that sometimes their minds don't quite coalesce what they're doing as to whatever their political motivations might be.
There was a terror plot foiled in Southern California relating to New Year's Eve as well, correct?
There was. That was a different one. That group was a left-wing extremist group, anti-corporate, anti-capitalist, anti-government. There's probably a few more things they were against as well. They were looking at corporate targets in Southern California. That was the Turtle Island Liberation Front, which is kind of a sort of almost a meme type thing that's sort of taken on a whole meaning in and of itself, with Turtle Island as a kind of a catch-all. It goes back to the way certain Native Americans referred to North America. They referred to the land as the land of itself as a whole was like the back of a turtle. And so they've kind of taken that, it's taken on a whole meaning of its own, but it's an anti-modernity type group. And they were actually out near 29 Palms, right near the Marine Corps base, where they were building pipe bombs and explosives. And as it turns out, they're not in 29 Palms, not in Southern California, but they were tied to a former Marine that was in Louisiana that was very familiar with the area. And that may have been why they ended up in that area to begin with, or maybe why he was connected to him. It's not quite clear.
You know, the FBI says that the charges, and excuse me, it was actually the prosecutors that spoke at this press conference earlier today. We'll play that a little bit later in the hour. Prosecutors at this press conference explained that the charges brought against Christian Sturtevant, they say that the charge is providing material support to a foreign terrorist organization. What does that charge mean in this context, Hal?
Well, in this context, what it means is that he was supporting ISIS, which is a declared terrorist group, and he was trying to do something in the furtherance of ISIS objectives. Now, whether he actually sent them
Might have been a commercial. Yeah, people ain't happy, I guess. Jesus, man, like, just back to back. We're not happy.
money at some point, that's something we're going to find out. That often does happen, that they will sometimes try to send them money or something else that they're trying to get. And that could have been part of the investigative thing, is that they said, hey, can you send us something? And by doing that, that would have clicked off material support to terrorism or to a terrorist group. So it's very possible that he did do something like that, but he was definitely trying to support them. And of course, the big thing was he was trying to actually support them by doing a terrorist attack, what he called a martyrdom operation, which means it was essentially a suicide mission. And that was one of the reasons he actually talked about trying to get a firearm. It looked like he was trying to get the firearm primarily to provoke law enforcement when they responded to kill him, to basically martyr him, as he would put it, in this jihadist, in this holy war type of attack that he was pursuing. And so that was part of his thinking. And again, I just want to point out that that you don't have to have a firearm to be a terrorist. Terrorists, there's been horrific terrorist things done with other types of weapons, whether it's bombs, arson, knives, vehicles, whatever. And at this point, it looks like that's where he was at in terms of, he was not using a firearm for this one, but he did have deadly weapons at his disposal that he was going to use.
So, final question here, Hal. What distinguishes an ISIS-inspired plot versus one directly orchestrated by foreign terror organizations?
It's interesting. We saw this kind of with Al-Qaeda originally. With Al-Qaeda, it was they'd sent in operatives to the U.S. to train how to fly and surveil the targets. And that was the 9/11 conspiracy. And for a while, you may recall, after 9/11, we were looking for sleeper cells, as we called it. All these sleeper agents who had infiltrated the U.S. to do this stuff, but they'd actually been trained in terrorism overseas. Well, within a few years, we started to see a lot of these homegrown violent extremists, these homegrown terrorists who were doing their own radicalization, their own training, their own plotting, their own surveillance, everything here. And so he falls into that latter category. He is he was basically radicalized online. He was reaching out to them online, but he was not somebody who was sent from outside the United States to do a terrorist attack here. He did not go outside the United States to get a lot of training or something to do a terrorist attack here. He was somebody, American that was from the U.S. who had radicalized here and decided to become a terrorist or conduct a terrorist action here in the U.S. without any connection to the overseas group formally. But we'd always say this when we're training law enforcement and others, you know, a lot of times for a while it was almost like, well, are they a current dues paying member of a terrorist group? And it's like, that's not how terrorism works. You know, you're not going to have a formal roster. A lot of times they will be these motivated individuals, these lone wolves that do these types of attacks. And he definitely falls into this lone wolf category.
Al Kemper is a retired Marine intelligence officer, national security analyst, and the host of the Strat podcast. You can listen to Strat anywhere podcasts are available. Thanks, Al.
So right at the top, let's start with that breaking news out of North End, thwarted by the men and women of the FBI. FBI Charlotte on X confirming this. They say law enforcement partners thwarted a potential terror attack on New Year's Eve in North Carolina. The subject was directly inspired to act by ISIS. Now, let's look at the suspect. According to the FBI, this is him, 18-year-old Christian Sturtevant. Authorities say he planned to attack people at a North Carolina fast food restaurant and then at a grocery store just outside of Charlotte. They say that he planned to use knives and hammers. Officers searched his home. They found details in a handwritten document titled New Year's Eve Attack. Authorities arrested Sturtevant on that night, New Year's Eve. Here's more.
So Mr. Sturtevant started on the internet. He started reading ISIS material, started going to ISIS websites, making TikTok videos, and eventually reached out to what he thought was a member of ISIS. In reality, was an undercover agent with NYPD in New York. He pledged his allegiance to ISIS with that undercover agent, and he disclosed his plans to, quote, do jihad soon. He then met a second undercover with the FBI, who he also thought was an ISIS participant, and he started to be very specific with his plans. He talked with that undercover agent, again, who he thought was ISIS. He talked about where he was planning to do this attack, which was at a grocery store and a fast food restaurant in Mint Hill, places that we go every day and don't think that we may be harmed. He talked about what means he would use to kill innocent people. He said he was going to wear a Kevlar vest and attack people with knives and hammers. And of course, he talked about when he was going to carry out this attack, which was New Year's Eve.
So team coverage with CBS News Justice correspondent Scott McFarland and CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson. So let's begin with Scott. Scott, you're looking through these charging documents. What do they reveal?
A few things jump out at me in particular. First of all, let's just start with the age of this defendant. He just turned 18 a few weeks ago, and he first got on the radar of federal authorities when he was a 14-year-old based on some of his social media posts. He went quiet from social media after he was not charged as a 14-year-old. Then at some point in early December, a federal investigator or a local police investigator in New York spotted some TikTok messages attributed to Sturtevant, which caused alarm and seemed to declare some obedience to or loyalty to ISIS. What the feds are alleging here is that he was doing this in martyrdom for ISIS, making this a terrorism case or a material support of terrorism case in the U.S. District Court. Some of the allegations here are uniquely chilling. They just have a different way about them. They're alleging he was looking for a soft target. Grocery store, fast food place would be a uniquely soft target on New Year's Eve, when a grocery store or fast food place would be particularly full. That he was seeking to use the types of weapons you don't need a background check for, but that can be deadly. Knives and hammers. This is just a page out of the ISIS playbook, the feds say. This is the directive they're trying to give to would-be supporters in the West.
And active online at that. Scott McFarland, thank you so much. Okay, so let's go live now to CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson. Jessica, authorities have been saying they've been tracking this suspect since 2022, saying that he was in contact with an ISIS member on social media, as Scott just mentioned. So at what point can somebody's social media be used against them and then impact the legal outcome?
So generally speaking, social media will help to initiate an investigation, but it alone will not be enough. And you'll see exactly what we see here, meaning not enough for an arrest. You'll see, as Scott reported, as you've been reporting, that there was more. You have the suspect talking to undercover agents. You have the suspect being very specific about, these are the weapons that I want to use, this is where I want to use them, and this is the time I want to use them. Generally speaking, we want to be protective of online speech, even when we hate that speech. You have to have specifically something more where you feel like you're crossing the line from advocacy to a true threat. And generally, that something more happens off of social media. Just read, as we saw in this case.
Right, and it's fascinating to me, Jessica. They've been tracking this guy, this kid really, since he was 14 years old. Authorities mentioned it's easier to bring charges now that he's 18. Explain that to our viewers.
So in part because the juvenile system is more geared towards rehabilitation than punishment. I know it seems strange, like we always have to draw lines. If you're 17 and a half, is it that much different than 18 in a day? And the answer is we have to draw the line somewhere. So what's different? You're in an adult court. There are federal charges that are available that generally we don't think are available to juveniles. There are terrorism charges that are available that we generally do not see applied to juveniles. So there are a lot more charges that are available, and you don't have the same concerns about a long pretrial detention. You don't have the same concerns about, frankly, a longer sentencing. It's easier for prosecutors to put somebody in the adult system. There are just so many tools that are options for them in this case.
Young mind influenced and still out there somewhere in the world, these ISIS operatives who got in this kid's head. Jessica Levinson, thank you so much for that. Good to see you.
I think to ask you all questions. Okay. I think they was asking all the questions.
Yo, the spokesman, man.
I get this more important stuff out the way. Okay, now we're moving into Professor Black Truth. There's a couple of ones that I hadn't had a chance to talk about because I think Jesse might have covered them, and possibly, they possibly been covered. I just hadn't had a chance to talk about them, or my thoughts on them. So I've seen a couple of them that I thought was going to be kind of interesting to talk about. So we're going to go into that. And then I'm going to into urban politicians. One second. Fair use, fair use, fair use. Mm-hmm.
Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the professor, and this is the moment of truth. Anyone who listens to me knows that I have nothing but unbridled, unabashed contempt for the white media, and with good reason. I hate the racists who are behind it, and that contempt for the white media also extends to the dominant society who eats that crap up like so many hogs.
That's kind of sad about this, because I watch reels and stuff, and I kind of like this this girl because black anime, she like looking like everything, you know what I mean? And I thought she was pretty talented with the makeup and stuff. And the character, the cosplay, I thought she was pretty talented the way she did her makeup and stuff. And each, she like really mirrored it. You know what I mean? So it's pretty sad. I used to like watching the reels and she'd come on like real quick, and she'd be in a different costume or a different, And I thought that was really talented because she was black, and I thought that was great. You know what I mean? That she could have that same experience white kids get, the cosplaying and whatever. You know what I mean? Or with the, I thought that was good. I thought that was okay. I thought that was like tight. And then this happened. I was like, their videos are still going, you know?
The slop trough. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it if you happen to like that kind of thing, but I'm telling you where I stand on this, and this is the reason why I have nothing but contempt for it and don't like it. So sorry, not sorry, but I simply cannot separate the media that I'm supposed to be expected to consume from the individuals who create it, and by extension, from the other individuals who happen to also consume it. Brother Tarian Rain has already done a video on this subject, and it's well worth watching if you haven't. Here's my 2 cents, though. Nobody should be a mindless lemming when it comes to the white media. Nobody should just simply sit back and turn their brain off and just simply let the white media dump whatever it wants into your head, because the eyes are the windows to the soul. But keep in mind, that window goes both ways. Not only can people see what's going on in your mind, but you give other people the ability to contaminate yours. That's what happens if you sit there and watch too much of that stuff that the white media is putting in front of you. You'll start thinking that the propaganda and the make-believe the white media puts on is somehow real, or at least it's valid on some level, and it's not. As a result of watching too much white media content, there's a lot of black folks who come to believe that they can find common ground with white supremacy and its beneficiaries through some sort of shared love of, well, fill in the blank. Some hobby or activity or some area of mutual interest, be it TV or guns or what have you. And then these same black folks get shocked and surprised when the people they wanted to be friends with act like, well, the same way they've acted for 500 plus years. Malcolm X talked about that. He talked about how everything that this society puts in front of you that didn't come from the black community is nothing more than weapons to be used against your mind. Everything from cartoons to comic books to you name it. And he was right. This is the reason why it's dangerous for you to just be mindlessly consuming what the white media puts in front of you. They've brainwashed black people by pushing TV shows and movies where they depict a deracinated, colorblind society. Now, a lot of black folks want to believe that, but the reality is these TV shows are about the only places where you see dramatizations of white society not acting racist. And because there's so many TV shows and so many movies that too many black people watch constantly, well, as Paul Mooney said, people believe what they see. And next thing you know, you got these people who are just adamantly insistent that they've got something in common with the dominant society, but that's never how the dominant society sees it. And that brings us to the case of Ashley Paxton, who was known online as Squid Kid 1111. Clearly, she was heavy into those Japanese cartoons and liked to dress up as her favorite anime characters. But it can be dangerous when black people take on this idea of community when dealing with people from the dominant society. That's a dangerous delusion that black people simply cannot afford. Now, before I go any farther, though, I don't want anyone thinking that this is an attack. It's not. But I think it's worth mentioning that while reading up on this incident, this young woman who was a cosplayer, I couldn't help but notice that the social media post that announced her death referred to her as they, their, them. Those were the pronouns, preferred pronouns, I suppose, that they referred to her by, and I have to wonder if that's what she said she wanted to be referred to as. If so, well, I do consider that to be interesting. But this is something that I and Brother Tariq and others have been trying to get through to those who consider themselves to be part of geek culture. If you're a black person who's in that kind of thing, you need to be aware of what kind of company you've chosen to keep. These individuals from the dominant society who happen to be part of the quote-unquote hobby or whatever pastime it is that you're liking, these people didn't come from a foreign planet, okay? They didn't drop down from the sky. These are the descendants of the exact same racists and bigots who have been attacking and oppressing us since time immemorial. That's the reality, and it doesn't pay to forget it. These people have lost their minds in recent years, and that's mainly because for the longest time they thought to themselves that apparently the culture of the world was basically their oyster. It was their personal property as they saw it. And these clowns have some sort of affinity for Japan, mainly because they usually respect those kind of countries that they were not able to necessarily dominate. And Japan made them very jealous for a variety of reasons. This is not to say that Japan has any love for black people. I've documented that for you here. When it came time to talk about blackface, I made sure to throw in those Asian countries in specific. That was deliberate. And so was the takedown that I did of a video game, one of those Resident Evil games over 10 years ago, letting black folks know these people in Japan are just as anti-black racist as anything you'll find in the United States. But that doesn't change the fact that even though they're racist as hell against black people, nonetheless, you still got black characters who are showing up. And in many cases, they're not being lampooned or otherwise ridiculous. Now, for white society, that sets a dangerous precedent. And as a result, what happens is they look and they see if there are black folks in this or that cartoon or on this or that video game or this or that movie who are not being lampooned, who are not being blatantly, openly disrespected. As far as they're concerned, no. We can't have like 50% respectful representation. It's going to have to be 100% or nothing. And that makes them insecure. It makes them insecure precisely because black people in our proper state, we represent an oppositional ideology to white supremacy. and the enemy knows it. So that's the reason why you see these people getting butthurt about people online who are dressing up as some sort of anime character. And these black folks are not running around doing any sort of yellow face or anything like that. They're black as my shoe. They're just dressed up in different costumes. And that's what these idiots lose their minds over. Now, the Asians don't get up in arms about it. They're not sitting here going, how dare you? The people who make these things, they're not offended. So why is it you have these white people who are trying to be offended on their behalf? The reality is, as soon as they see black people, that's what they're offended by. The only people whining and complaining happen to be these white geeks. The usual anti-black racists are whining. And that's what happened to this young lady here. Why do so many of these white geeks go insane over fictional characters and fictional worlds? Brother Tariq said it best. It's because they don't have any real heroes. We do. They don't have heroes. All they've got are slave owners, thieves, and genocidal maniacs. That's why you don't see these idiots dressing up as Thomas Jefferson. So what happened was white society had to manufacture heroes. They had to invent them. That's why Luke Skywalker is akin to Jesus Christ in their warped minds. That's what they had to resort to. They didn't have any sort of respect-worthy or decent individuals in their own ancestry, in their own history. They can't point to their culture and say, hey, here are the good guys here. Instead, all they got are a bunch of killers and cutthroats, just like themselves. Individuals whose entire existences were dedicated to nothing but stealing from everyone else and contributing absolutely nothing. Now, black people, on the other hand, specifically foundational black Americans, you look at our culture and you look at the heroes and sheroes that we gave rise to. Freedom fighters, individuals who breathed new meaning and common decency into the veins of human civilization, respected around the world. Our heroes and our icons are respected and known around the world for their decency, for doing what's right. There's no slave owners and thieves and genocidal maniacs among our ranks. We got the good guys. And for a lot of these white geeks, their problem is they know it's true. Our heroes really exist. Theirs are figments of someone's imagination. When the playing field is level, these anti-black racists lose every time, and they know that. And they're terrified that the same way the world acknowledges our greatness, albeit reluctantly, they know the rest of the world also recognizes we are the pulse of the culture, every culture. These are all a bunch of zombies running around until we show up and bring the life. We know that black people take over spaces because we have the pulse. There's a toxic brew of jealousy, hatred, and insecurity that comes from all of these anti-black racists. That's the reason why no matter what it is, no matter what the subject is, no matter what the setting is, they always have to shoehorn some anti-black rhetoric in there somehow, because they are obsessed with hating us. That's what happens when you're insecure. These forms of media, from anime to manga to movies, they don't belong to any of these white racist nerds, and yet what they're terrified of is that when black people show up, we have the pulse. We make things hot. And before you know it, we become the face of whatever this or that subculture is. Or that subculture changes to at least become more like us. See, that's the problem that all of these white nerds have got. They have this delusion that somehow Japan is somehow some sort of analog for white American society, and it's not. They like to tell themselves, well, we would basically be worshipped over there, and sure, the Japanese definitely have a problem when it comes to bowing down to these white supremacists, but these racist white geeks have an even bigger problem with black people becoming the face of this or that subgenre or subculture. These are the same racists, by the way, who claim that they don't like race-swapped characters, but when a white kid was cast as the lead in that Avatar: The Last Airbender movie, they didn't get bothered at all by that. When Scarlett Johansson was cast as a Japanese woman in Ghost of the Shell, they didn't have any problems with that either. And the reason why is for them, that's wish fulfillment. That's fantasy wish fulfillment. They're looking and going, that should be me. I could be Japanese too if I really try hard enough. And don't get me started on Tom Cruise as The Last Samurai or Matt Damon in Ancient China. These white fantasies of some white guy as a samurai, that crap never happened. But on the other hand, Yasuke, the actual black samurai, that did happen. And it eats these white supremacists alive. So they have to try to create their own make-believe and take refuge inside of it. As these racist white nerds see it, every time that black people are shown in a way that is not derogatory or otherwise denigrating us, then that's a problem. That's them taking an L. They took a loss. They took a defeat. far as they're concerned, they have to have 100% or they're completely and thoroughly out of power. 100% control or they're 100% defeated. So that's where all of this whining and griping and complaining is coming from. They demand that Black people not be seen because we make them feel insecure. Well, that's perfectly understandable. These racist white nerds have a lot to be insecure about. Oh, but I think things are going to turn around because Ben Shapiro is trying to make his own Lord of the Rings. I'm not kidding. I'm not making that up. That's what Ben Shapiro's doing. He's advertising on his website. This is what these clowns decided to go all in on. This is end stage stupidity here. This is Lord of the Rings, all right. Lord of the Borings. And how much support is this, whatever the hell this is, getting from Ben Shapiro's own little fan base? Well, not much. He's got millions of people who are subscribed to his YouTube channel. Hundreds of thousands of people have watched the trailer for this dreck. And yet it's only a little over 800 people who decided they would actually give a thumbs up to it. So out of millions of potential people who could have seen this thing, less than 1,000 said that they liked it. And that's supposed to be his base, his supporters. We got the Temu version of Fox News trying to make the Temu version of Game of Thrones. That's what this is. This is just more white male fantasy wish fulfillment. It won't work for the same reason nothing they've done has been effective at supplanting us. This is the same Ben Shapiro who I told you made that god-awful so-called Western with Gina Carano, who at the time was fresh off being fired by Disney after she compared conservatives to Holocaust victims. That abomination that he made with her, it was nothing more than a PR stunt, a cheap little stunt to get some quick and easy attention for his website and to drive some more subscription numbers, which is what he did. And clearly Gina Carano didn't like the experience because she ain't been back. And the kind of lost souls who would actually watch something from Ben Shapiro, this is the exact same kind of trash that were harassing that young woman until she committed suicide. Their actions are motivated by their hatred for us, while ours are motivated by expressing our own unequal genius. They're terrified anytime they see Black people having any sort of prominence, and they go after anyone and everyone else in the hopes that this will stop it from spreading. For example, the movie Sinners dominated at the box office. This was Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan's first collaboration since Black Panther. The director of Sinners, Ryan Coogler, was being attacked by the white media because with his deal for Sinners, he actually gets the rights to it back after a few years, so the studio doesn't get to keep it. And that made them furious. Apparently, as far as the white media is concerned, only George Lucas is supposed to be able to get deals like that. Ain't no Black filmmaker ever supposed to get a deal like that. Well, the movie Sinners dominated at the box office during its run. In fact, it did so well that it was going toe-to-toe with one of those Marvel movies when it came out. And yet I noticed that Ben Shapiro didn't even attack that movie. He instead ignored it. It's like I tell you, family, you'll know when you've won the argument with these white supremacists, not by them admitting defeat. They're never going to do that. But you'll know they're beaten by the sound of their silence. The success of Sinners crushed Ben Shapiro's narrative, and he knew it. He couldn't even afford to attack it, because to mention it will require him to mention that, oh, this movie that he's attacking, it's #1 at the box office. And it's going neck and neck with a $200 million Disney flick with an all-white cast. So much for get woke, go broke, huh? These stupid memes and slogans that these anti-Black racists come up with is nothing more than weapons-grade cope. The real world consists of zeros and ones. The racist clowns who try to make everything from entertainment to education into a stage to attack us, they get zeros, while Black folks have 1. Pun intended. These people have us on the brain 24/7. They obsess over us. They fixate on us. They're driving in traffic. That's part of the reason why they have so many accidents. If they thought less about Black folks and concentrated more on the road, they'd be okay. For hundreds of years, they've been indoctrinated with the lie that somehow they're special and that everybody wants to be like them. To them, that's their place in the world. And yet we, the people they spent half a millennium saying are worthless, and nobody likes us, nobody wants to be like us, we're the ones that they keep having to emulate. We're the ones who they keep having to copy and follow and who they wish they could be. That's not just wrong. To them, it's infuriating. That's the reason why they want to kill Black folks. Like, we're not supposed to want to be you. They tell the world that the world needs white supremacy. We prove that it doesn't. Our greatness, our success invalidates theirs. They just keep failing, and that eats them alive. All their delusions of white superiority were lies. We keep reminding them of that simply by being ourselves. We don't attack them. We don't malign them. We don't have to. They constantly attack us because they need to. They need to confirm that they exist. Why is it that the mere sight of a black person doing cosplay, that just made these guys lose their minds? Why did that happen? Well, the reason happens to be these anti-black racists are zombies. No, they're worse than zombies. The reason that they hate the sight of us is because when they look at us, they see the pulse, they see the energy, they see the life. When they look at themselves, they don't see anything at all. We remind them of that. And what do you call a creature that doesn't see anything when it looks in the mirror? What do you call that creature? You call it a vampire. And is that not exactly what it is that they've been doing, culture vulturing off of us? And the reason that we call that mess out and we'll continue to call it out is these are the people who have made an entire culture out of attacking us, out of saying that anything and everything that we create is useless or is bad or it shouldn't exist. Every form of music that we've created has been attacked, from ragtime to hip hop. They do it over and over again. And that's the reason why as soon as we see these folks trying to pretend as if, oh, well, can I play too? Oh, no. You guys told everybody that what we did was wrong and what we did was bad and it shouldn't exist. And you maligned us and denigrated us and you ridicule everything that we make, everything that we're a part of. So clearly you don't want to be a part of anything that we're doing. So you go ahead and stay over there, with the people who think that they're being envied. Meanwhile, we'll continue letting the unassailable greatness of blackness speak for itself. See, that's the difference between us and these racist geeks, these white supremacists of any stripe, pattern, or spot. They got to get out here and tell lies and try to force everybody to tell them that they're great. Black folks, on the other hand, we let other people sing our praises. We ain't got to beat our chests. Everybody else confirms it for us. And sure, they may do it through gritted teeth, but they still do it. People like entertainment. I get that. I also get that entertainment cannot be gatekept. So just because you like a TV show or a movie, keep in mind, there's no way of keeping these anti-black trash out of it. What I'm telling you to do is to not let your being a fan of something morph into desiring white acceptance. Too many black people, that's kind of an unspoken goal that they've got whenever they go into these things, go into conventions and such. In their minds, that's a way to be validated by white society. Hey, I'm here and they didn't kick me out, so I can pretend as if these people aren't racist as hell, at least until it's time for me to leave and go back to the real world. Obviously, this young woman was clearly vulnerable to the kind of targeted harassment that she was experiencing. Reports are that apparently she was dealing with depression, and that makes this doubly perilous. Escapism is fine. That's normal. But when people begin taking their escapism seriously, that is not okay. Nothing happens in a vacuum under white supremacy. So please don't think to yourself that that convention you go to or that fan chat room of this or that TV show or movie that you engage in, please don't go kidding yourself that apparently you found some sort of bubble, one that white supremacy has not and cannot penetrate. You'll be sadly mistaken if you do. The very people that you think that you're getting along with, they'll show you that it was all a lie all along. These anti-black racists see everything as being their own personal property because they're not used to anyone telling them no. They're used to having it all their own way. And what they've found, especially with foundational black Americans, is that the first time one of us shows up and it's time to challenge these guys, all of a sudden it never goes their way ever again. They know that. A lot of black folks take that for granted. A lot of black folks tend to forget that, especially if they hang around these guys too long. They start believing that propaganda that they see in these fictional TV shows. Oh, there's no racism here. Well, except for all the racism that is. I'm not going to say that you should do what I've done and basically completely and thoroughly disconnect yourself, because I know that that's not really realistic as a suggestion. But what I will say is this: you need to be aware of what kind of people are actually watching these shows along with you and what it is that they really think. Your self-image, your self-esteem should never come from or even be influenced by some bigoted strangers online. Don't allow the white media to turn whatever kind of fare that they put in front of you, books to TV shows to movies to what have you. Don't allow those kind of things to become what the white media can use as a gateway drug to try to get you hooked on the dominant society's acceptance. First of all, there's no value to that. It's absolutely worthless. Second of all, even if you wanted it, you can't get it. And third, even if you could, how far would it get you? Look, as long as it does not denigrate or otherwise try to make fools out of black people or our image, well, if you like it, I guess you like it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I'm not trying to have that kind of conversation. But you better start being realistic about these other folks who happen to be in the same space that you're in. Because while you may be looking at this as merely entertainment, they're looking at it as nothing more than a race war. And you don't want for yourself to become the next casualty. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors: Gregory Franklin, Samuel Divers, Christopher Ellis, Bruce Cox, and Alan Reese. Salute to them, and thank you to everyone for listening. If you're not already subscribed to this YouTube channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button now, along with the bell icon, so you can be notified whenever a new video is posted. And if you're already subscribed, check and make sure that YouTube hasn't unsubscribed you. And of course, be sure to give the video a like, as well as share it on your social media. The white supremacists hate that. And now, the Sunday address. You want to know why it is that practically all forms of popular media are in decline? It's things like this. The white media's campaign to make Cynthia Erivo a thing is still ongoing, and it turns out the thing they want to make her into is a man. I guess in a way that does make sense. Cynthia Erivo's femininity, such as it is, has always been woefully deficient. But British GQ has decided they're going all the way with it. They've made her their Man of the Year. And while I do agree that there's nothing feminine about Cynthia Erivo, it's still a fact that they're using her as an avatar for black women in general. And while I'm obviously not going to be sticking up for Cynthia Erivo, instead I'm going to be sticking these verbal daggers into her, the reality is the white media is holding her up as an avatar for black women in general. This is a total slap in the face to black women, and that's what it's meant to be. It also speaks volumes about how these white supremacists outside the U.S. feel that they can just spit in foreign black people's faces, especially foreign black women, and just be able to get away with it. In order to call themselves sprinkling sugar on crap, they decided that the article about her for their Man of the Year piece was going to be the defiance of Cynthia Erivo. Defiance, really? And then when you read it, it basically talks about how she decided that instead of having CGI make her face green for Wicked, she would wear face paint instead because she wanted to see herself as being green. Oh, how defiant. Defiance from a woman who made a career out of crawling on her belly and attacking foundational black Americans while at the same time having Hollywood give her roles playing as us, and even Harriet Tubman. This woman has not defied anything except for black solidarity and basic decency. And after the Harriet movie crashed, Hollywood put her on ice for a couple of years. Then they quietly brought her back with that Wicked movie because it gave her a role where she could be hidden under a ton of makeup. And it was a big budget CGI musical, one of those movies where the set is the star, the special effect is the star, and not the talentless fool in green face paint and the Party City quality witch costume. I haven't seen the Wicked movie, and I could care less about it. If the thing made money, I guess it's the triumph of effective marketing, because it dang sure ain't the talent of the woman who's in front of the camera. But this is what Cynthia Erivo does for a follow-up, and that's how you know there's a program at work here. Whenever the white media gets these clowns and decides to put them on, there's always this janky crap that goes right along with it. They're the main ones out there doing it. And here you thought that Hollywood stopped its attack on black women's image with the woman king nonsense. Never mind the fact that we have a word for a female ruler. It's called queen. But some Negroes are so silly, they try to take blatant insults and convince themselves that it's positive somehow. And the white media will play to this psychological weakness by telling you that, oh, yeah, it is defiant. Cynthia Erivo is so defiant. Yeah, a defiant man. Family, let that stand as a lesson to you. Do not ever let anyone give you a backhanded compliment, and then you try to tell yourself it's not as bad as all that. Viola Davis was out there talking like a fool when it came to that woman king thing, saying that she basically wanted the woman king to be her Black Panther. She thought that it was going to take her to the next level. Really? You're sitting here portraying a group of individuals who were instrumental in the slave trade. And on top of that, the entire point of the movie is to have a bunch of black women stunting around as if they're a bunch of dudes. This is not something that builds black women's image. This is how you tear black women's image down. Hollywood keeps putting out these big budget smear campaigns, which laugh in black people's faces. portrays black women as being the enemy of black society, portrays black women as being men, and I'm supposed to think to myself, this is some sort of compliment, that this is doing a favor for the image of black people? No, it does not. This is devaluing and ultimately erasing black women is what they're doing across the board. Because if you can legitimately, or at least without somebody getting angry at you, say that, yeah, black women should be the man of the year, then why bother even acknowledging that black women exist? You've effectively erased them. And if some idiot calls themselves saying, well, this is an honor, don't you know, then why didn't British GQ decide to give a white woman this honor? Why didn't they find some transgender to give it to? Now, they didn't do that because that would have set off a firestorm of controversy, especially in the current political climate. Why didn't they choose to do this with an Asian woman? Or even a light-skinned black woman for that matter? No, they made sure to pin this one onto a dark-skinned black woman. That was the entire point. The kind of dehumanization that a lot of you thought these white supremacists were too shy to do now, well, they're showing you they ain't shy at all. They were just waiting for the right mark to put in front of the camera. And with Cynthia Erivo, they found a hell of a mark. The white media spent years setting the stage for this. Every time you look up, they have a TV show or a movie, and if there's a black person in it, they made it a point to make sure that black person was LGBT or otherwise something other than heterosexual. That was them tiptoeing their way toward this. And where black women are concerned, they're openly declaring black women don't exist and that their puppet is a symbol of defiance. That's 2 lies for the price of 1. And they know what the response to this is going to be, so don't expect them to be giving wall-to-wall publicity and coverage to this, but do expect that there's going to be a few of their little flunkies and sock puppets on their on-air TV media who will be saying, oh, this is such a great thing. Think outside the box. Oh, how powerful. Obviously, the black masses didn't sign on for this crap. Obviously, the black masses didn't ask for this and don't even want it. This is white power doing what it always does, giving itself permission to carry out some attack on black people's image. That's what they always do. So, well, we're going to give ourselves permission to do it. The same way these white supremacists are always trying to bestow innocence on themselves. They're always trying to absolve themselves of their crimes without actually doing anything to atone for them. Same thing goes here. Nobody asked for this, but they're going to do it anyway. And as for any sort of controversy or opposition, why, we got our bought and paid for sock puppets on air. They say that they don't have a problem with it, and we paid them to say they don't have a problem with it, so that means it must be okay. That's the game they always run. Cynthia Erivo's of Nigerian descent, and I'd like to know, where are the Nigerians in Britain at, or elsewhere to call this mess out? Or are some of them too busy trying to catch a boat to London? When mess like this goes down and there's not a hard, substantive pushback by the people in question, that only serves to encourage the next insult and the next, and each one will be worse than the one before. Man of the year indeed. And she's not outraged about it. Why would she be? She'll let the white media say anything they want about her as long as the check clears the bank. But the damage that it does to black women's image, it basically says black women are to be ridiculed. We'll hold them up as objects of derision. But worst of all, this kind of garbage racialist propaganda is meant to try to influence black women to take part in their own unwomaning, to unwoman themselves, telling black women that power means becoming a man. Because the unspoken message behind what the white media is doing is to basically whisper in your ear a steady drumbeat of, being a woman isn't good enough. There's something wrong with being a woman. You need to try to become a man. Now, who in the world wants you to do that? A community cannot exist without its manhood and its womanhood. But if you want to sow the seeds of total chaos, just go ahead and tell them to get rid of either one. Because after all, being a woman simply isn't enough, and it's definitely not enough to be a black woman. That's definitely not what you want to be. That's a lie that they've been feeding women, and too many fall for it. Female empowerment, to hear the white media tell it, is appropriating what they say is male power. And the white media sells women all kinds of phallic symbols. That's artificial phalluses. From cigarettes to this hyperfixation on getting degrees, even though most of them are useless now, and only saddle black women in particular with debt. But that's what they do. The cigarette, hey, this is your phallic symbol. And you take a degree, go ahead and roll it up and take a picture with it. That's your phallic symbol. It's not true power, definitely not a woman's power. It's not women empowerment. But this is your little artificial phallus, and you can take a picture with it and say, see what I did. And no, I don't think it's a coincidence that they chose this foreign woman to make the face of the unfeminine black woman. Every time the white powers that be have tried to fly some trial balloon to see if they could get a foundational black American woman to do it, they always got maximum resistance. Now, something else that also needs to be remembered here, there's a reason why the white media is always taking shots at womanhood and femininity and such. Whenever they do this kind of stuff, there's a reason for that. There's a reason why when it comes to trans bathrooms, trans sports, what have you, these constant attempts to try to redefine what it means to be a woman. And that being the case, you've taken the bird of society and clipped one of its wings. That's what's effectively happened. Women need to understand that there's been a lot of these feminists and other bad actors who have allowed the definition of female to become anything at all. And as a result, it becomes nothing. That's the end result of all of the stuff that's been going on for the last 50 years. This is not gender bending going on anymore. This is just plain gender elimination. And look at who's being eliminated. Can a female exist without her womanhood? But I also want Black women in particular to understand that a lot of this ideological infiltration that's taken place the last 3 to 4 generations, this stuff has not been harmless at all. The enemy is always watching us, family. As I've always told you, nothing happens in a vacuum under white supremacy. We are a people under surveillance. And the enemy has looked to see were there any kind of entry points that they could spy. And they did find a number of them. The line that marks the boundary of feminine propriety has been allowed to be blurred over the decades. You've had all kinds of things where, alternate lifestyles have become very fashionable and very popular with Black women in church, social circles, or political organizations. There's always some Black feminist who's trying to lead the charge to have some dysfunctional male around. And the white media encourage this with stupid so-called Father's Day messages for Black women. They only push that stuff at Black women. They only try to popularize that with Black women. They don't do that with other groups. They don't try to derange their internal politics. They don't try to spread that kind of madness with anybody else. Now, the failed females of the Shea Butter bootlick contingent, they thought that kind of stuff was cute. They were the main ones cheerleading for it. They hate Black men because they wanted to be a man. And when they realized that was never going to happen, they entered into an unholy alliance with the white feminist and the white power structure, mostly the white media and academic institutions, to push these lies that Black men are no good. And to prove it, they started that crap about I'm the mother and the father. Now, when you got women running around saying stuff like that, the white media start licking their chops and saying, good, now that you've already said that you're the father, let's go ahead and just eliminate the mother part altogether. You're just the daddy, period. White power was laughing its behinds off because they knew exactly how this was going to end. Yeah, it took a few decades, but as I've always taught you, white power loves a cruel prank, especially one that takes a long time to pay off. They love seeing the mark thinking that they're on the inside. The mark thinking that they're standing among friends when in reality, they're surrounded by enemies. Everyone's laughing behind the mark's back. Black feminist operatives like Oprah Winfrey, Gayle King, Angela Rye, and others, they convinced themselves the white power loves Black women, and they were gassing people's heads up with all of this phony propaganda, pretending to celebrate Black female achievement, pretending to celebrate Black women's success. But you saw what happened this year. There's been massive layoffs. And even though there's actually been white women who have been caught up in it, they wanted to make sure that Black women were the face of, here's the people who are losing these jobs the most. They wanted to make sure Black women were the face of who's getting fired. That's deliberate. It was the exact same narrative the white power fed to Black immigrants, by the way. Well, this year, the rug's getting pulled out from under everyone. It's both disgusting and a disgrace what's being done. The white media's anti-Black propaganda is disgusting, and Cynthia Erivo is a disgrace. And please don't let some idiot tell you, well, this is British GQ. It's still GQ, stupid. And on top of that, you better believe that when something of this nature happens, this is them going ahead and trying to tiptoe up to the line. Now that they've gone ahead and done this, they're going to see how far they can push it. It's going to start off over there in Britain, and before long, it's going to be making its way over here to the U.S. in some big way. So what's going to happen is they're going to take some idiot, maybe Cynthia Erivo, probably somebody else, because they want this to spread, and they're going to give that person some sort of big write-up in the New York Times or something like that. They're going to try to make it sound prestigious. Oh, we're just recognizing that this Black woman over here is a great man. Yeah, there's nothing feminine about her at all. I mean, she's just so defiant, so virile, so masculine. Spitting in people's faces and getting them to believe that it's actually raining. No cure for stupid. But this is the reason why we have absolutely nothing to do with these celebrities over there in Hollyweird. All of these clowns have sold out. Whenever they talk about Blackness, they're never talking about the collective. They're always just talking about themselves. To them, blackness is a very personal thing. In fact, it's so personal that it only applies to them and no one else. And their personal definition of blackness changes depending on what white studio executive is offering them a check. And that's the reason why you're not going to be seeing any of those folks out there in Hollywood, none of them Negroes out there are going to be saying, hey, this is foul and wrong, and Cynthia Erivo needs to be shut down because of it. They're not going to be doing that. This is why the white media was pretending to be so hot and bothered about this woman. It wasn't because they thought she had talent. It's because she's exactly the kind of sniveling suck-up that they can use to take shots at us. That's the real talent that she has. To lick the white media's boots to a mirror shine and have a crap-eating grin on her face while she's doing it. This woman is shameless. And you're going to have folks out there, the usual suspects, who are going to be saying, well, you know, this is show business after all. Well, they're right in a way. It's definitely a show. A freak show. Good evening, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors. Kenneth Prescia, Carolyn Hughley, David Harris, Kamari Wright, and Jesse Good. Salute to them, and thank you to everyone for listening.
I can't believe you just gotta let them call her a man. That's crazy.
Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the Moment of Truth.
The music was pumping as hip-hop royalty packed the room. A gala to raise funds for the soon-to-open hip-hop museum in the South Bronx.
Man, it seems surreal. You know, hip-hop is the art form that moves the whole entire globe. It's only right they did it in the Bronx. And I'm proud to be from the Bronx. And it's like a dream come true.
Long overdue, because I mean, of how much hip-hop has done for the culture. You know, I feel like hip-hop has done so much to keep so many different genres alive. So this is long overdue.
Me, Mike, and Hank, in a million years, we never thought it was going to be this. But here it is, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
The museum is opening in your borough of the Bronx. How does it make you feel, Peter Gunn?
Amazing, man. You know, coming from Vice Avenue, 174th Street, coming up under his tutelage, people like him that inspired me. I'm incredibly happy to be here.
This event at Cipriani's Wall Street brought the hip-hop world and business leaders together to support the cause. Several artists were honored for their musical contributions.
Storytelling is my thing, my niche, my calling. From the beginning, it was never about fame. It was about giving our stories a stage, turning on imagination and making art.
Everything that we put our heart and soul into it is going to be displayed down the road for many generations to see.
I'm accepting the Rap's Next Generation Award tonight.
How does that make you feel, man, knowing that it's not only about old school, but new school as well?
I'm honored. I'm a leader of the youth, and I'm just grateful to be here, grateful to be awarded, grateful to be seen.
And truly honored to be here tonight to celebrate hip-hop as a culture, to celebrate some hip-hop icons that are my dear friends, including Fat Joe, Slick Rick, and the late Andre Harrell.
The Hip Hop Museum is currently being built out. It's 55,000 square feet on multiple levels, located on Exterior Street off of 149th Street. The museum is not just about New York City, but rather a celebration of the global culture.
I got to give it up to hip hop. I mean, damn, what would we be without it? You know what I mean? The world would be a boring place without hip hop, baby. So, yeah, I'm glad to be a part of this culture and this university.
Oh my God, for me, hip hop means education. Hip hop is exposure. Hip hop is taking me into rooms that I had never seen myself in. Hip hop is giving me longevity.
Oh my God, this is crazy. I thought I was just going to hang out with y'all, but we was just hit with so much emotion tonight. Everything kind of changed for me, just seeing all of us here.
For all of the hip hop legends in the room, they say they had a fantastic time, and they say this is about the culture. For the organizers of the Hip Hop Museum, they say they expect to open that building in the fall of 2026.
Well, isn't this something? You're going to be building a hip-hop museum in New York City. Now, why are they making a big deal about this? Well, I, for one, believe that Brother Tariq's excellent documentary had more than a little to do with that. At the very least, more than a little to do with them feeling like they need to go ahead and have a statement of their own. If Black folks are going to be putting out documentaries and building museums, well, there needs to be some sort of counterbalance to that. Now, let me go ahead and say off top, a hip-hop museum is good. But if they're sitting here referencing people like Sloppy Joe, I have to wonder just how accurate this is actually going to be. Museums are one of the primary places where you actually learn real history. They have actual artifacts there, and it's supposed to be a place where the literal accounting of events is supposed to be told. But when I see all of these white interests around, I smell an attempt at whitewashing. After all, if they're giving coverage to this and they're not attacking it, that's how you know the white media is pretty much positioning this as something that they want you to accept. Because otherwise, they'd be sitting here saying, well, there's serious questions, though, about the donors behind it or the message, and they'd be bringing on people to sit there and try to take slick shots at it. I do think it's noteworthy that they didn't try to shoehorn in the talking point that hip-hop came from outside the U.S., at least not for their little news coverage. While Cool Herc does get mentioned, and rightly so, whenever talking about the origins of when hip-hop actually became known to an outside the Black community audience, it is false to try to use his parentage as a way to bastardize hip-hop's origins and claim that it came from elsewhere. That talking point doesn't have the traction or the resonance that the white media thought that it did. That's part of the reason why we're not hearing it so much anymore. But that being the case, you got to understand the white media is going to look at that and say, our attempts to conjure magic and just tell people what to believe didn't work in this case. You had Black folks who pushed back against it and hard. And now our white media version of the events has had to take a back seat. We've had to relent. We don't like that. We're supposed to be firmly in control. So again, I'm not going to say that a hip-hop museum is a bad thing because it's not. What I am going to say is at the end of the day, you better be cognizant of who it is who's actually behind these things. A museum doesn't do us any good if it's going to rewrite our history, if it's going to downplay, if not outright eliminate our actual contributions, which have been there, and instead decides to make up a phony everyone of every color and background was their narrative out of this. Because every single form of music that we've ever made, in fact, every form of personal expression that Black people have ever given rise to always gets lambasted and always gets demonized and pejoratized as being primitive, as being backward, as being, well, jungle music if it's Black music. And when it comes to Black writers or any form of prose, that's always looked at as being just an extension of some sort of inferior culture. That's the way that we always get typecast and typified by the white media. Anything that Black people create, hell, anything that we're even so much as a part of, is always subjected to a hyper-aggressive campaign of demonization and attack. All of this anti-Black propaganda to say anything that these Negroes have made is inferior, and if you like it, you're inferior too. There's something wrong with you. That's what they do at first. But when Black culture predictably turns out to be way too strong for their weak minds to snuff out, then they decide the second tack is going to be appropriated. When white people make something, when any other non-Black group creates something, that's always theirs. It's something that they made. There's always cultural propriety. It always belongs exclusively to that group. Other people may use it or imitate it, but at the end of the day, you always got to make sure that they, the creators of it, get their credit. But whenever Black people make something, suddenly it becomes community property. It belongs to everyone. Why? Black people may have made it, but you know, it's uniquely American.
The museum is not just about New York City, but rather a celebration of the global culture.
Now that's just them watering it down so they can go ahead and elbow us out of the way. By claiming that the very things that they tried to snuff out of existence are now American because they failed to kill it, what they're really doing is they're saying it's not Black, it's American, which basically means it has an identity that's going to be defined and ultimately captured by the dominant society. That's the real point. White power has tried to snuff out every single form of music or expression that we've ever created, from ragtime to hip hop. MTV outright refused to play rap music at all, hoping that it was all just a fad that would go away, the same way that they didn't want to play Black music in general, including Michael Jackson. That's what the dominant society did. But rap didn't go away, and neither did we. So, like they did with jazz and rock and roll, the white media began putting emphasis on any and every white person who was within a 100-mile radius, trying to make them the face of our creations. Because we all know that the white media, or the white backers of any hip-hop museum, are going to give Rick Rubin a ton of space for no reason whatsoever. They're going to make sure that he's always there, this fuzzy-faced frat rat. That's how it always is. They immediately begin looking around for any white person who they can shoehorn into the story and say, well, you know, they were actually the real brains of the operation. None of the stuff that these Black people were trying to do would have gotten into the mainstream if it wasn't for some white folks doing it for them. That's how they always try to rewrite the story. That basically black people were just dependent on the benevolence of some good open-minded white people. And you see, white people recognize the value of it. Yeah, the one white guy who was somewhere on the other side of town, as opposed to the other 99% of white power brokers who were trying to kill it. This is the way that the white media memory holds things. This is how they rewrite the collective consciousness. But before they can go ahead and try to sell their lies to the public at large, first they have to legitimize it somehow. And that legitimacy takes the form of trying to get black folks to stand beside them and to somehow lend our good offices to whatever their fiction is going to be. So that's the reason why these same people who could not care less about rap music or black people or hip hop at all, now suddenly they're going, well, let's make sure we got Big Daddy Kane and the others there. Don't they want to have the Beastie Boys there? Don't they want to have Vanilla Ice there? And the Beastie Boys in particular, one of the lies that they love to tell is basically that the Beastie Boys were responsible for getting hip hop over, having hip hop translate to a mainstream read white audience. Because of them, that is some BS. The Beastie Boys didn't make hip hop mainstream any more than the Bee Gees made disco mainstream. These people came along later and jumped on a bandwagon that black folks had already built and had been rolling at top speed. Again, I'm not turning my nose up at the idea of a hip hop museum, and I don't think anybody else should either. It is definitely a worthy art form, and it deserves to be preserved. It's earned the right to be preserved. My question happens to be, who is it who's going to be doing the preserving? Because if the people behind this museum are ultimately the exact same individuals who tried to kill hip hop in the first place, then as far as I'm concerned, this isn't a museum. It's a mistake. Sloppy Joe and others need to take a step back, a few steps back. I'm not saying that they should be completely and thoroughly censored from the history of hip hop, but let's make sure that these guys are not put in the first freaking chapter. And anything's going to be said about the likes of Fat Joe, make sure you mention all the slick shots that he took at the very community that created hip hop. There shouldn't be anyone trying to make any room for pikers or opportunists when it comes to our story. And make no mistake, hip hop is our story. Everyone else are just tourists. That's the way that they treat black people when it comes to any and everything, no matter how momentous our contributions are. And that being the case, fine. When it comes to the things that we've created, everybody else better know their place. And their place is going to be tourists. We are the stars of our own show. And the limelight must be ours alone. We're not sharing the stage with anybody on this, nor should we. When it comes time for award season, which is what people take as the official recognition of who has merit and who doesn't, all of these white award shows, they have no problem deliberately snubbing black talent and making sure they're going to recognize everybody else's way to say, see, these people, they're more valuable than these black folks over here. Yeah, black folks sold more albums, but everybody else is more valuable. And one has to wonder just how many of the very anti-black racists who are responsible for those so-called award shows happen to have a financial hand in this hip-hop museum. It's a question that needs to be asked. Because if these same anti-black forces think that this is going to be some sort of last ditch for them to write themselves into our page in history, we're going to tell them exactly where they can get off, and there won't be any half-stepping about that. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors. Jesse, Suleiman Alaji, Gavin Andrade.
That's true, no half-stepping. All right, now we're going to move into a little bit urban politicians. Which I said was on the list, so. Let me see, let me make sure we got all this stuff out of the queue. I didn't think they needed to be in the I didn't think that they should have honored Fat Joe or just a few other individuals there because they basically lied and ate off of the work. So you know what I mean? I didn't really think that look at everything I thought we canceled Fat Joe. I thought we canceled him. So that's just, to me, that's what I thought. God, Okay, urban politicians. know what's going on in music right now, music and entertainment.
We dragging on the floor, all the colors. That's a very special.
And that was the beginning of our amazing friendship. I'm so lucky to meet you, and I think that we're gonna be friends forever, right?
We're going to be friends forever.
So guys, Happy New Year.
Happy New
I'm
Year.
so glad that she surprised me today. She always does that.
So here's
Yo, it's Big Ant, the spokesman, man. We back. Another edition of Urban Politicians TV, UPTV. Make sure you stay on your pivot at all times, man. Had to come tap in, and we back outside with it. H-Town, Texas streets once again. Getting my flip on one time through the time. Most definitely Happy New Year to everybody watching, supporting, and viewing. I can't say that enough, how greatly appreciated y'all are. But we still got to come with the latest and the greatest and let everybody know what's the latest up. So I pulled over here in the cut. As now, we got 50 Cent and Papoose with a little bit of grease out here on these internet streets. And I put that clip right there in the beginning because I'm thinking that's what started the conversation with everything with Clarissa Shields and Papoose, as 50 Cent caught this meme somewhere. He didn't make it himself. He posted from somebody else where it was on the blogs or something. I wasn't really paying full attention, but y'all see right there, Papoose and Remy Ma at the first shop that they go to out there. And the owner came and cleared it up because people were saying and speculating, throwing out the accusations that they was up there together. They was kicking it with each other. Well, 50 Cent, I guess he just saw a funny thing, something that he thought was funny of Clarissa Shields and Papoose, put up the meme right there. I don't know what TV show that this is exactly, but it said, now you see that? That's assault. You can't just go around putting hands on people. LOL. Ed Leach and Midore, Happy New Year. Well, Papoose caught wind of it and said, oh, nah, we ain't finna do that today. He put up an AI video of 50 Cent twerking on the couch at the strip club, mocking him, and then said, hey, no, stop deflecting, Curtis. The world is still waiting for your response to Fab and them. You from Southside, do something. Fight or flight. Holla if you need a ghostwriter, champ. I mean Trump. Hashtag bars on wheels, hashtag Papoose. As not, Papoose is entered into this with 50 Cent. Is Papoose gonna give us a diss as well? Probably so. Let's call it for what it is. We know Papoose is a spitter, lyricist, got the bars, he know how to rap, he gonna stand up for himself. That's how Papoose is in this game, no doubt about it. Papoose gonna get in the booth. Now, everybody has also been saying, because 50 Cent, they went at several other people since the issues with Fab, and everybody really want the response to Fab. Let's call it for what it is. How y'all feel about it? Y'all let me know in the comments. Everybody like they need 50 to respond to Fabulous. I don't think 50 Cent is gonna rap. Would be dope if he did. I would love to see 50 Cent get in the booth and give Fabulous some bars. Lyrically, I don't think he can beat Fab at all. 50 Cent is all about getting the win. He don't care about the who can rap better stuff. He gonna go that route. But what Fab said in that booth, Fab was really spitting, going directly at him. The internet is waiting on that response. And that ain't the first time I said that. Hey, don't come over here posting us, or don't talk about this person, don't say nothing about that. Go over there at Fab. Fab the one that really got you in your feelings right now. 50 did say he's waiting until New Year's is out the way, and he got some for people that he say he cooking up his sleeve. But we'll have to see. The pressure gonna be on now, because Papoose finna get in the booth, and you know Papoose really can spit, bro. Papoose is the dude that makes stuff rhyme with the whole alphabet. Like, he really got that gift. He really got a gift, like, to really spit. So I don't know, dog. It's entertaining. We starting out 2025. It's all the way turned up and live. The algorithm for chaos is not taking any type of loss. Capital C's is in full effect and direct. Controversy, chaos, confusion, conflict, and confrontation to keep the algorithm in conversation and be a part of the rotation. And we added our crashing, and we messing it up, but we added crashing out to that situation. I'm gonna tell you like this right here. If we can get this back to rap, I'm for it, bro. All of these guys are older. They all mature. They all got families. They play the internet game right now. Ain't nobody finna do, they shouldn't be doing nothing to nobody in the streets. It should never go to that. At this point in their life, they all got so much to lose. But if we gonna get some real hip hop going, some real lyrical battles, issues ended and settled in the booth, I'm with that. You know, 50 I'm gonna be real. I don't feel like 50 is lyrically on a Papoose level or a Fabulous level, but I do know that 50, if he in his bag and he really go in that booth and start spitting and talking that talk, he just got that like skill set where the sound, the delivery, the punch of the music, the authenticity, the rawness that he got. 50 can cook something up in there, but he gotta want to do it. Jim Jones even got his bars off of that disc that they put out. I rock with what Jim Jones said. Mano as well. Mano said he ain't backing down. He gonna keep it going. So right now, it's like we basically, everybody in NYC better be at 50 Cent just a minute, because I don't see none of them backing down. They gonna feel like they gotta stand on it. They gotta keep it going. They feeling like, hey, we ain't finna let you come in here and bully us. We know how you do on the internet. But we going back to that old, when they dropped New York. What was it? It was Jada, Fat Joe, and then Ja Rule. He basically made all them have to choose a side and stuff like that. Him and Fab had their little issues some years after that, when everybody decided to start trying to squash a lot of things. I remember when he was talking about everybody working together, and Fab had went on the internet, was like, well, hey, yeah, it's crazy, you want to put it together when you was the reason they got one of the reasons everybody got a little bit divided with the choosing side and stuff. But they ended up putting theirs to the side and wasn't tripping no more. They got cool and did music together and everything like that. So they was straight. But I look at it like, don't nobody want to get a little bored in this game. I understand it. I respect it. Don't let nobody little boy you and dog you out. Don't let nobody talk down to you at all. We just see 50 go at everybody though. We just see 50 get into it with Cameron, Styles P, this dude, that person. 50 gets into it with everybody. So everybody looking like right now, we can't let dog just dog us out at this point in time. But we shall see what happens next. Y'all tell me what y'all think, man. Hopefully everybody is having a new year already kicking off. Most definitely, we're going to chase these goals. We're going to chase this grind. We're going to keep getting active. I'm going to keep giving y'all content. I got the Patreon coming. We finna get this on more platforms. I most definitely got the merch coming as well. It's one-on-one right here, though, but I'm going to have different things where y'all can order and tap in with it. If you see me out in the streets, man, come holler at me. Come chop it up with me right quick. I most definitely appreciate everybody that be supporting, watching, in the comment sections, man. Even if you can't catch every videos, the ones that you get, I'm somebody that understands I am nothing without the viewers. I am nothing without the people watching. That's why I'm gonna keep staying in their face with it. We got the Studio 56 podcast as well. Shout out to my guys Pook, Twan, Big T. We got more stuff coming over there with that. Pook been going crazy with the mic drops. He been going crazy with the interviews. Studio 56 podcast on YouTube. Y'all make sure y'all get over there and check that out and support that. Also, we're going to have more episodes on there. We just knocked out episode 205. We stream them live right here on Urban Politicians TV. Then the clips go to the Studio 56 podcast channel. And we're going to eventually start having the whole show over there at the Studio 56 podcast channel. So y'all get ready for it, man. It's going to be a lot of stuff coming, a lot more videos dropping, a lot more stuff. We're going to expand and keep going up. 1,000. Shit show. Stay on your pivot.
Oh, I'm happy for him, man. Really happy for him. He's really been working hard.
Details now on a developing story.
I'm happy for his ass. That's good. Good shit. No, he's my friend. That's my friend. She talked to him once in a while, you know? Mm-hmm. Like 3 more clips and then we done.
Yo, it's Big Ant, the spokesman, man. We back. Another edition of Urban Politicians TV, UPTV. Make sure you stay on your pivot at all times, man. Had to come tap in, and we back outside with it. H-Town, Texas streets once again. Happy New Year's to everybody tapping in and supporting, catching all the videos. Most definitely Greatly appreciated, never take it for granted, and we turn it up for 2026 as well. Let's continue to go up and grind. But I had to pull over here real quick as I was getting my flip on through the time and let y'all know what was the latest up, as it's the first day, not even 24 hours into the New Year's, but it's been turned up. It's not. The news is hit that Drake has been hit with a second lawsuit, to my understanding, with this federal RICO case for the engagement, his business deal, and what they have going on at stake. Him, Aiden Ross, and more is accused of using this platform to swindle, finesse, fraud tactics, and create false streams to push Drake music, and it's being done in the state of Virginia on the federal level. And the write-up says this: Kick streamer Aiden Ross and rapper Drake have been hit with another lawsuit over their involvement in promoting online gambling platform Stake. Plaintiffs LaShawna Ridley and Tiffany Hines filed the suit in a Virginia court on Wednesday, December 31st, alleging that both Drake and Ross had misled users by purporting to gamble with their own funds, which the plaintiffs' claims were actually provided to them by Stake. The two have engaged in live stream gambling, wagering large sums of money that was provided surreptitiously by Stake. The suit reads, in other words, though Drake and Ross purported to be gambling with their own Stake cash, it was in fact provided to them by the house. Additionally, Ridley and Hines accused Ross, Drake, and a third defendant, George Wynn, of using Stake's tipping system to move large amounts of money between themselves. They claim Wynn served as a facilitator or broker in the alleged scheme, accused him of converting Stake-based cryptocurrency to cash, interfacing with bot vendors, supervising coordinated amplification strategies, and integrating paid clipping campaigns. The plaintiffs notably claimed that Drake and Ross used a public $100,000 tip to fund a body system of artificial accounts to create fraudulent streams of Drake's music and fabricate popularity, disparage competitors and music label executives, distort recommendation algorithms, and distribute financing for all of the foregoing while concealing the flow of funds. Furthermore, Ridley and Hines named Stake as one of the largest and most profitable illegal online casinos since 2022 and claimed that both Ross and Drake, along with Wynn, created a criminal enterprise to both promote and operate an illegal gambling platform in the guise of an above-board online casino. The plaintiffs are seeking 3 times the amount of actual damages in the case under RICO and the Virginia Consumer Protection Act, as well as restitution and disgorgement and attorney fees. Now, that's how they starting off the new year, 2026. We had saw this lawsuit conversation before with their involvement with Stake, but now another one was filed yesterday, December 31st. Now, what they basically is saying is they running the whole front, a cover-up. They making Stake seem like it's just fun, organic. The gambling that's going on there is their own money that they're using as we just on here gambling with the people, having fun, doing what we do. But they saying this is a whole swindle game, whole little RICO, as they is getting the money from the company Stake. They ain't going in their own pockets. They ain't going in their own wallets. So when they doing that, and then also, and it's really gonna boil down to all these things, they innocent until proven guilty. Everything on this case right now that y'all seeing is alleged. I can't confirm nothing, and I'm gonna keep telling y'all like I've been telling y'all throughout the years. I cannot solve a crime from the cell phone, from the camera, from the microphone, the Wi-Fi. I can't do it. I don't gamble online. That's not my thing. That's not my game at all. But if they have proof that they can show this, then it will happen. They got this lawsuit going. I don't know if they will settle out of court. That would be a very bad look if they did, because it would presume that they is hiding some and they were swindling their fans and swindling the people that rock with them and things of that nature. So when you do stuff like that, back to it. The thing is here, y'all, it's false advertisement, and it's gonna be, I don't know, can't confirm that, but I tell you this right here, This ain't a good look. And we just seen what Drake went through the end of 2024 after losing the battle to Kendrick Lamar. He decided to file a lawsuit, went through the court, went through the process, and lost that too. So it's one of these conversations now, you know, people gonna think, is this happening because of what you decided to do with that lawsuit? And you taking the label and accusing them of having fake streams and bots and swindling things and saying they had payola and everything of that nature? I don't know, bro. I'm gonna tell you like this right here, man. That gambling game is real. That gambling game is heavy. We've seen other people in this year, 2025, getting taken down through there for gambling, especially in the sports world, from MLB to college and to the NBA. We didn't see it hit the news. The mob was involved. Now, I'm not saying that this is the same type of lane of that gambling. This is more of some like, hey, how we promoting this stuff. But when you see certain things that look a little odd and then people start digging deeper, they tell you to open the books up. If the judge, if you have to go to court, you don't sell a lot. I don't know how that works. I ain't gonna lie to you. But if you have to go to court and they open them books up in there, it's gonna look real bad in the media. It's gonna look real bad as the presentation. And I know, yeah, man, it's real. 2026 starting off super duper crazy. I know people gonna say, you know, they ain't gonna say nothing. Drake and Aiden Ross ain't gonna say nothing, which they shouldn't. That's the legal way to go about it. Ain't nothing to explain. You gotta handle that. Let your lawyer do your talking for you. But look like Drake finna have to come off some more paper, which he got a lot of paper. Stake as well, and Aiden Ross as well. They got paper. But we'll see. Were they finessing their fans? Were they finessing their supporters? Were they lying to their fans and their supporters using stake money and gambling? Or was they really gambling on their own, really placing their own money with their bets? The counts can be brought up in a federal courtroom. That's just how this stuff go. As we is not even a full 24 hours in to 2026, and capital C's is in the mix. Controversy, chaos, confusion, conflict, and confrontation. To be a part of the conversation, keep the algorithm in rotation. We added crashing out to that situation. Lord only knows what's gonna happen next, but we gonna most definitely stay on top of it.
Gambling shit is like, goddamn, like this is just. Why would you want to put yourself through all that? Like, you know, as a personality or star or whatever, you know what I mean? Why would you want to put yourself through that? You gonna go to jail? They, you know, especially like maybe light skinned, but at the end of the day, they gonna take your shit. You mean? He obviously lost the other one. I mean, he definitely lost the rap battle, and he definitely did some pussy shit and filing a lawsuit. You mean? But I mean, come on, like you lost that. Like, why would you want to go any further to lose any more money and just keep, you know, just keep damaging your shit? Like, I always wonder about these online gaming things. Like, you know, sometimes I'll be like feeling some kind of way and might want to put something down on like the first couple of games the Broncos won. Let me tell you, I've made that happen in the fourth round. Don't believe me? Ask Jesse. See what I'm saying? I was just being, you know, happy about some shit, not just manifesting my ass off. Don't believe me? Ask Jesse. You know what I mean? And I felt like, well, I got the touch, man. Let me just see. But I didn't want to. I don't know if I really wanted to get down with it. Especially when you see Chauncey Billups getting caught up in it. You know what I mean? He's from here. You know his family and shit. You know what I mean? My people know his people's family. Like I know him. You know what I mean? Like I knew him. You did? So it's like I knew him when he was a basketball star. And he did? So it's crazy to me. That's like, why would you want to keep pushing yourself to, why would you want to keep getting in trouble? For what? Like, you got enough bread. Like, what are you doing it for? The adventure? Like, what is this for? Like, what are you gaining out of it? The money? Like, I mean, you got enough? I mean, I know people say we can never really have enough, but like, what are you doing it for? At some point, it's just about money, and for sure that's going to get boring. Okay? I just don't understand why people would want to put themselves through that after they establish themselves. You mean it's not like it's I haven't established myself. I don't have no career or nothing. Now I'm on some old illicit, nefarious shit. I'm trying to make a come up. That's not like that. It's just weird. Like, you got a problem? What are you doing this for? You mean, like, what's the real motive? If you lose this one, that's a lot of money. And that's gonna be like a lot of ugliness towards his name and shit. They gonna fuck the music. You did this. That's what they're gonna talk about for a while. It's weird.
Everybody in the streets have told me where you at. Nigga, you from my motherfucking state, nigga. And you playing this shit. You can't call whack. You can't call the president. Can't nobody stop me from doing what I want to do. So I'm telling you again, stop disrespecting that fucking lady.
Mama, I love you. P.O.P. Hold it down.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Goods XY Big C. Y'all already know the deal, man. We back in the building, man. Listen, man. Y'all already saw the video that I put up. It was Aiden Ross trying to call WAC 100 for some help. Somebody help. Them hot boys coming through. Somebody help. They got guns. They gonna shoot. So basically what we're looking at here is that Aiden Ross, even though he called WAC 100 to call for help.
Yo, this dude named Glasses Loke and Trap Bradshaw, they're threatening me.
Glasses, that's family.
Okay, well, can you call Glass and let him know to tee up and get off my PP?
I'm gonna hit nephew. That's family. That's Glasses Malone.
Oh, okay, all right.
Glasses Malone is who he is. I'll call nephew right now.
All right, Whack. Thanks, bro.
All right.
What we did notice with him is that he just continued to talk shit.
No, pussy ass, he gonna call. That's trash. Oh, pussy ass. Help me. Oh, come on now. Now I understand why they clown you.
And this continuously shows y'all that these motherfuckers don't give a shit because they don't understand consequences. And this is why you can't feel bad for them. It's gonna be whatever it's gonna be because these guys don't understand consequences and they never gonna learn until some shit happens, man. That's just the way that this shit goes, right? So after he went on his whole rant, calling Glasses and them old and then saying that, they got baby mamas, they ugly, that's why they wear glasses, all the stuff you would expect a streamer like Aiden Ross to say. Well, Glasses Malone came back and Glasses Malone basically is saying, WAC can't stop me.
Oh my God. So let's see what Glasses had to say because you already know where this is going.
I say what I say. I say, look, cuz fool, stop talking about that lady. You don't stop calling that lady out her name, homie. A nigga gonna make it bad for you. And I know you gonna make it really hard to get to you. So all them niggas around you, nigga gonna do something to them. I'm gonna fuck which one of my homies I gotta organize. And if you know me, you know I've been doing this a long time. So my relationships are stellar and I got enough attitude to do everything that I'm supposed to do because it's the right thing to do. So I kept it clean. I didn't disrespect the nigga. I didn't call that little nigga out his name. I didn't say nothing to cuz. I talk to him like a man. So when he captures the stream and you start making content with what I'm saying, and I get it because you're a streamer. You're a content creator, bro. Totally understand. But I'm a crip and I'm not a content creator. I'm not my young homie. I'm not AD. AD from the hood, but he's like a content creator. And I'm a crip. I'm a crip that comes here and vocalizes his thoughts. I have not conceded the concept of being a content creator, no matter where it doesn't take me or where it takes me. So I'm going to deal with things the way Crips would deal with things. I'm not going to deal with them the way other people that make content with you deal with things.
And I think that's one of the things that Aiden kind of needs to understand.
Cuz said, I'm a low. Who the fuck what they talking about, cuz? You can't stop me. I'm just over here betting my motherfucking feelings. But I'll fuck your world up, bitch. I'm a crip. That's right. That's right. Mm-hmm. That's my type of crip. Shit. He said I'm a crip. Fuck what they talking about. Can't nobody stop me from coming and touching you. Everybody get touched, cuz. Fuck what you talking about? I'm a crip. Mm-hmm. That's right. Now you got to check his life.
And not just Aiden Ross, like people in general. I think when people see content creators, they see streamers, they get this.
That's a California thing. Like, that's a California thing. Like, play out there, like, what you talking about? I'm a crip. I'm answering nobody. I move myself. I'm okay. If I really need help, I'm sure I'm good. I'm good out there. Don't worry. I move a little different, though. I'm a crip. No matter how many times I done said that shit. All right, girl, keep looking up. I warned you. All right, cuz. That made me happy. That really made me happy inside. I might play this 15 times after I end the show. That's funny.
Idea that, oh, that's just another streamer. When the reality is, Aiden, y'all started with streaming shit. This is where y'all come from. This is how y'all were introduced to everybody through fucking streaming. When you got other people who was doing shit before they started streaming. So this is where the shit gets confused and you could really f your head up trying to around and dabble in a world that you got no business in, trying to bring your streaming rules into that shit. This is why you have somebody like academics be like, oh, we just potting, we potting.
On the Mano pull-up list, Mano, this is all potted. Bitch, we don't want to hear the dyke bitch that's a white chick, come from Philly, nothing attractive, just saying a bunch of dumb shit, limited knowledge and limited vocabulary. Any of y'all niggas get mad? We're potted.
Your world is the streaming world, but you got to understand there's people that come from other worlds that step into the streaming world, whether you like it or not. And the way that they rules built, they don't abide by the same rules that you abide by. And this is where the problems come. And this is why you have somebody like Aiden Ross running to a WAC 100 for help. And then when it turns out that that help can't help you, then what?
Don't look away now. Don't get shy now.
That's the problem, man. Hey, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. We know how it goes.
I mean, I'm going to deal with it differently. AD is cool. AD kind of sees a value in all of y'all. I don't. I understand that the culture is everything.
That value word is very important. We gonna revisit that.
So I'm gonna deal with it this way, right? So when you make your video, right, and you immediately start to insult, that don't bother me. I ain't tripping, bro. I'm a grown ass man. Like, I don't care about what no nigga. If you don't think I'm a handsome nigga, cool. Okay. That's all good either way.
G, I'm not gonna cut you off. Think you cute. I'm going for 2 weeks. Y'all got us getting called ugly.
And nigga talk.
Yo, bro.
I said, yo, I'm going for 2 weeks. Y'all got them calling us ugly out here. That's funny.
Oh, listen, bro. The nigga said we ain't cute, dude.
Right? And like, whatever. Ain't cute.
You don't think she cute? Looking at it.
The nigga said y'all ain't cute.
Go ahead, keep going.
I'm not cute.
Get your thing back. Right? So whatever, cuz like, right? You doing all of that. Cool. All right. I don't care about that, bro. Like, I'm not tripping that I'm not attractive to you, boy. Like, that's cool.
My mom think I'm handsome.
Right. Here's the next problem. You have no shot. You start saying, shouldn't you be taking care of your kids? Don't you got baby moms?
That was crazy.
Those are the microaggressions that I was telling y'all about. These are little things that they say because they all point to one direction, and y'all know what's up.
Can I jump in now?
No. The problem is all of these things keep saying the same thing. I don't got no kids, fool, and I don't got no baby moms.
That's why I need to
saw
jump
that
in
on
right
TV,
there.
cuz, or you heard some rappers say that. So I don't got no baby moms, dog. Stop talking to them, and that's the problem. That's exactly why. So then your next step is to call whack. Your next step is to call whack, because you think whack, that's your man. Whack is not gonna stop me from doing what I want to do. That's just not the relationship. He's not. He know I'm gonna move on whatever I'm supposed to move on the right way. So he can talk to me. It makes sense. He's not gonna stop me.
Y'all could already guess what Wack probably would have said. Yo, yeah, leave the homie. The homie don't really know what's going on. You know, it's all content. You know, he just trying to do content. He really cool. No. We need to stop doing this. It's only content shit, man. Like, listen, people get on here on these streams, and me, myself included. We talk about our opinions. We give our opinions, our takes on certain things, but there's a level of disrespect that you don't go to. Yeah, we crack jokes, but the stance that Glasses is taking is a stance that's very important within this whole entire space, not just this space, but period. Too many times we have these people just straight up disrespecting, and then also on top of that, disrespecting women.
Dyke looking bitch on Joe Budden podcast, like, is she piling on? Like, ho, we don't know you, shorty.
Nobody on the West, not Wack, not Big U, not Top Dog, nobody is gonna stop me from doing what I'm supposed to do because they know I'm doing the right things. So he could say, hey, G, and I don't know, this could get you in trouble. The difference with me and most of the people, I got no reason to, I don't give a fuck. Like, even in his fucking thing, he like, you know, I'm just gonna call the police. Police come after crimes, man.
Thanks. I imagine being Aiden Ross, and you hear that part, you're like, oh shit, he's right. You're damn right, bro. They come after the shit already went down. You feel me? But this is what they do, man. They all cowards, man. They hide behind this bullshit.
Slap you up and I do something to you, they coming after. What in the fuck make you think if I'm saying this on this fucking camera, nigga, I'm not running. I'll be right there when they show up. I done been to jail for selling drugs, punching on shit, all kind of shit. And I was just fine in there. You think I'm not gonna go to jail proud that I slapped your stupid ass in the face because you keep calling this black lady a bitch? On this motherfucking thing in front of the public? What in the fucking world? I don't give a fuck which one of these people you think you cool with. I don't give a fuck if you cool with the president. You're not, y'all, I don't know what the fuck that happened to where y'all exist in this space, bro, and y'all keep doing this old punk ass shit. We all ain't streamers.
The issue is there's enablers out here. That's the issue. You see it because he knew exactly who to go call. He called the person that he felt could help him get out of whatever situation he felt like was gonna come out of it. That's why he felt safe to talk shit, as much shit as he could talk, and then get on live and call whack. But these are the type of lessons that needs to be learned, right? Because you need that wake-up call where you call somebody, and when you call that person call you back like, hey, I talked to him, but ain't nothing I could do for you, dog. Shit, just, you know, lay low.
You be all right, nigga. You tough, right?
You ain't live. Like, ain't no way to stop you when you really serious about
shit. Crazy.
We not all streamers. We all don't care about maintaining a relationship. I don't care that you successful. That shit don't mean nothing. Nigga, I know you from Visalia. Y'all know where you at, and I know your people. That fast. Everybody in the streets have told me where you at. Nigga, you from my motherfucking state, nigga. And you playing this shit. You can't call whack. You can't call the president. Can't nobody stop me from doing what I want to do. So I'm telling you again, stop disrespecting that fucking lady. You can make all the content. I'm going to get next to you. You got fights coming up. You trying to promote fights. I'm going to get next to you. All I ask you to do is respect that black lady. Do your job. Make your content. Stop calling this lady out her name. Y'all streamers keep finding ways to disrespect black people on this shit. And I totally get it. And y'all think, well, then, you know, they fight each other. It's not the same. You are a white man. I don't give a fuck who you pray to. I don't give a fuck if it's Abraham. I don't give a fuck about none of that. You are a white man. Boy, you better look at this camera. That's y'all problem. Y'all been playing these games. And that's how y'all socialize with humans. And you've been saying all this dumbass shit behind this game. You, Neon, all these ass niggas. And y'all got all these niggas that fuck with y'all because they think y'all can provide them some level of exposure.
That right there.
Yep.
And this is where the enabling comes in, right? They not doing it for nothing. Everybody sees, like, these streamers, they making bank. And regardless of how you feel about it, they looking like what they doing is way more profitable than being in the music game right now. So a lot of people are looking at this streaming thing like that's where the bag is at. So if I could align myself with a big time streamer like Aiden or Academics or whoever I could help these guys by making sure they good in my city because they gonna want to be cool with me. So I'm gonna help them in my city. I'm gonna enable this behavior. I'm gonna look out for them. But you know, y'all gonna help me a little bit on the back end. That's how it works. That's how this shit works, man. So it's one of those things where it's like, I help you, you help me, at the same time at what? At the detriment of our respect? Why?